when you want next, I'm gonna run it from here. When you want next slide, just say next slide.
Okay.
You're up, go.
So the project that we picked is the Artemis Lunar sample box. And one of our 14 team members is not here, but one of our, yeah, it's okay. But it's okay, we got it. So for brainstorming, originally we wanted to have a box shape, but then we decided the collapsible cylindrical shape was much better. So we created an origami thing. It's hard to see, but when it's not collapsed, it's large, and it's large enough to fit a baseball-sized rock, two baseball-sized rocks, and anything else. Then for travel, it's compactable and can compact into a small, almost flat piece.
Wow.
I love it.
Keep going. Tell me more.
Can you go back?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, you were on one.
And since a paper won't really be the best idea to bring into space, so we have a copper sheet, which we're going to use to create some. But since we'll probably be able to create two versions of it, we think. And since copper gets very thin after multiple bends, we think each one will only be able to be like collapsed and opened once.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay.
If it was made with copper,
Ready?
right?
If it was made with copper,
But that's just the materials that we have access to. So for the
Okay.
actual in use for people going into space, it would obviously be more durable and reusable.
Okay. All right. Do you have any oh, there we go. So you've got a picture here. Hold on.
Yeah, this is our design sketch, and over on the side is
so image of how someone could wear it, like almost like a little purse or similar to a fanny pack.
Not opposed to that. Now remember, they're going to be wearing their spacesuits, so that'll be a putting it over their head and they're using their shoulder. You know that you can imagine that might be a little bit more difficult if you look at their suits. What about a handle? Have you thought about a handle for it?
We have a way to have a handle, and it could easily be adapted from like a purse-like thing to more of a handle on the side rather than held, like sitting against over the shoulder.
Okay. Now, would you put your handle on the top or on the side?
well, we were planning on putting it on the flat sections of the cylinder.
So most likely on the top, since it wouldn't interfere with the folding of the collapsibility of the container.
Okay, and that makes good sense. And so part of what I'm thinking about is, so you open this thing up, you put in your two rocks, and then you end up bringing it back to the spacecraft. Now, because it's kind of collapsible, even with the rocks in there, as you bring it in, the air pressure of the spacecraft is going to squish it back down. Does that make sense?
Yes, we have, right?
We did play with that
idea with
we have
we created a very, very rough draft, but
Sure.
like a box where you would hook the two tops onto the
Oh, I can't see that. Hold on a second.
yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty
but-
far away, and it's kind of dark, and
but-
it would be kind of like a glass of some sort, not just little hooks, but that would
Okay.
stop
pressure from
So the idea, I don't know if you can see this, Glenn, with a little light on it. You
Hold it.
put the cylinder in here and then secure it to the side. So even though there'd be the 1 atmosphere of pressure wouldn't, we didn't think would be enough to overcome the, you know what I'm saying? It would keep it in its stretched out form.
Yeah, and it's not a criticism, it's just a comment, right? So as they get as you bring it in, it's going to get compressed because of the air pressure, and it'll just take a little bit more of the shape or size of the two balls or of the two rocks, right? And so, and part of what I'm thinking about is, whether depending on where you put your handle, is it a flexible handle? Is it a rigid handle? It has to be big enough for the person's gloved hand. Think of your gloved hands where your fingers are going to be about twice the size that they are currently. Does that make sense? Okay. And so that whatever handle you guys design for that needs to be so that that big of a gloved hand is going to be able to manage it. Okay. Now, and so I like what you've done here in terms of, you're planning for how are we going to pack it on the spacecraft, right? So you can imagine that when they land on the moon, they're probably going to take, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 30 samples that they want to bring back to Earth. And so that means a lot of containers. Where are we? And you've already got a plan for how you're going to stack them in this box. I think that's terrific. Good job, team.
Mhm.
Now I see that you've got two things in there. One is red and the other one looks green. Tell me about those things. What are they for?
Well, they were meant to be the clasps that would hook on to the handles on the sides and the lids in order to keep it from compressing. The colors don't mean anything. It's pipe cleaners.
It's left and right. It's the materials we had, but it is supposed to simplify being able to stretch them out. And then I think we also
Oh, I see. So you want to keep their dimension. You want to keep them stretched out. Is that right?
yes, so that way it doesn't compact and possibly break or like roll around or anything
Okay.
that could happen in space.
Well, and all I'm commenting on is that there's as the air compresses your container, that doesn't hurt anything. I mean, they're rocks. They're not even getting compressed. Well, they are a little bit, but I mean, the point is your container is getting smaller and it just takes up less space. And there's actually some value to that they're not going to be taking up as much space as so there's good things to think about there. Imagine if I had, 20 of these containers, putting them in this kind of a box, you're it'll be kind of like an egg crate, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All that you're doing is just keeping them all in one space. So I like your idea. Can you hold up your origami piece there again? Okay. And now with that, so on one side you're going to put a cap on it, or you're going to put a bottom cap on it, right? And then on the other side you're going to have to put, is that going to be a screw cap, or how do you want to put that in there?
Planned on doing a
Okay.
a cap on for it to open and then.
Okay. And I think that's also a good idea. That means that top portion will have to be able to have some threads on it and whatever. And so how to attach that to your copper body, I'm okay with it. It's just something you're going to have to kind of work through a little bit. But I like your idea. Have you done any folding of your copper to see how it functions once you start doing that?
We have yet to fold it as we very recently acquired it,
Yeah,
but we plan to do that pretty soon.
yeah.
Mhm.
We have
Okay.
tools for creasing and folding.
Yeah, it's like a.
Yeah, it turns out for copper sheeting, there's special folding tools, and we had to get those too, and now we're all set with that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know anything about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
fortunately, we have a really capable art teacher here who was able to guide us to that. So
That's terrific. Are you planning to, let's see, so once you put this sheet into a cylinder kind of shape, are you planning to solder it, or how do you want to hold your seam?
we actually have some special copper tape initially, and then pending the results of that, if it's, say there, you can hold that up.
Yeah.
There. That, yes, so, and then pending the results of that, going back and soldering it. But first, we're gonna tape it so that we can make adjustments before the final solder.
I think that sounds terrific. And no, I think that's a great idea. Now the one that you've made so far, just with the paper, does that fit a baseball size in there already, or how much of a
Yes.
dimensional change is there going to be?
Minimal.
Minimal.
Okay, very good. That's pretty exciting. I suspect that one of your difficulties is going to be how to fit the cap and the threaded portion onto there. But I think that it's very possible with your design. So I'm excited about it, ladies. Let's see.
And one more thing, if this is less of a critical maintaining the space,
Yeah.
is that those end pieces on the cap at each end might also provide an opportunity for your attachable handle. If we don't need that space for, if you think this is hey, it collapsing down actually saves a little space, that's fine, and we don't need this, that's a handle opportunity.
I think so too. I think that you have plenty of options here with this. Wow. Okay. Why did you choose copper as opposed to aluminum or something else?
Availability for just prototype making. It was
Sure.
easy to continue the process.
It was also much more durable than an aluminum foil, which would have also been available. So,
And just as a thought, if you might try making one out of aluminum and
Yeah.
doing a comparison, it'll be real similar in terms of the manufacturing, and it might give you some other ideas as to what might, if there's a reason to go with one over the other. Okay?
Yeah, just try some aluminum foil first because that's a little bit different. I love the origami, and it was really good because it collapses, so we don't have to have a lot of space sending these containers up to the space station because they'll fit in, and even the astronaut. Glenn, do astronauts have pockets?
No pockets.
Okay, because I was
however,
thinking they could put it in their pocket.
Well,
until they load it.
part of you can imagine. You remember a few years ago we worked on a wagon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was that as the astronauts are, they leave their spacecraft, they walk around and they find the rock samples that they want, and they just put it into the wagon with them, right? Well, this is the container that the astronauts would put into that wagon or take out, fill up, and then put back into the wagon, and then bring it back to the spaceship for launch. So, I think that you guys have a terrific idea here. I look forward to seeing how you want to do more with it. Do you have any other questions or thoughts about it?
I just want to say, as their mentor, they were the ones who independently came up with the idea of, man, when this thing's empty, it's too bad it couldn't be smaller. I think that would help them, and that's the purpose of this hunch thing, is to stimulate this. It was a neat moment. They came to me with that one me, and the purpose of this whole hunch thing is to get people in teams and think about how to problem solve. It was pretty fun.
No, I think this is a terrific idea. It's very different from how we were trying to solve it before. Now, the part of what's exciting is just that it compresses for different portions of the time that you need it. Now, that can also cause some difficulty just because we don't want it to rip or get damaged, when it's being compressed or expanded. But I think that that's something that, if we're not using it over and over, this is a great idea. Now, and okay, so consider that not only are we going to, you can imagine that they might put in rocks that are the size of a baseball, but they might also put in plastic bags filled with dirt, right? And so but I think that this will also accommodate that kind of thing as well. Okay.
Yeah, and even in their presentation, we went through it pretty quick. They mentioned the possibility of double insurance, of first putting the baseball in some sort of Ziploc bag and then putting it in here if you want to be double sure of the air tightness, if you will. So
Sure. No, I think you guys have a terrific idea here. I look forward to seeing how you implement the lid, the bottom of it, and the handles. I think this is a terrific idea. Good job, team.
And if you have any questions, you can always ask us questions. Nancy and Cody are your mentors, but you can always copy Glenn and I too. So we're here to help you, but I love your idea. So great creative thinking.
So
perfect. Any last moments, ladies? Oh, go ahead.
one more question. How did you guys get into origami? Do you guys do this on the side for fun, or did you take it in an art class or something?
I believe Francis saw this idea, and so we were like, let's give it a shot. And so we decided to give it a shot. And that's how
we were looking for like collapsible things.
Yeah, it was like Google collapsibility,
and we got to here.
Yes.
but
Awesome.
It worked, and we tried it. So
All right. One more thought for you. So make sure you test it out, right? So go find some rocks that are similar size. And remember, they're not going to be rounded, right? They're going to be kind of angular and sharp, but aim for something that's like that and see what it looks like when you start putting it inside one of your prototypes. Okay?
Great. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank your art teacher also. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, cheers. Thanks again.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
happy holidays.
Bye-bye. Thanks. All right,
Okay.
Billings Career Center is up.
Excellent.
All right.
I love that idea.
Unmuted, you can introduce yourselves and then we'll go to share screen. So you guys got the floor.
Afternoon, Glenn. Hello.
Hey, team, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. What you guys got for us today?
All right. So of course we're doing the lunar sample collector.
You want me to share screen?
Yeah. Just want to throw the slideshow up there. A good bit of ours is just going to be going through the slideshow, so shows our process of going through and all of course.
Okay.
Right. So we're going to start with a problem statement. I mean, you guys have probably heard it before. In simplest form, it's a container that has to hold 2 baseball-sized lunar samples. It must be completely airtight once the samples are inside of the container, but also it can't crumple from air pressure on the way back to Earth. We did do something a little different, though. We wanted to think, of course, outside of the box, literally, because the original, of course, was just a box, the one in the bottom right down there. That we wanted to try to make something, of course, a little bit smaller, but easier for the astronauts to handle and use while collecting the samples.
Okay.
Tell me when to go.
Brandon, you want to start?
We started with like some individual brainstorming. We wanted to really come up with our own ideas and before actually coming together as a team to decide on stuff. And so I started with looking at like sort of containers that I used in like kitchenware that are used to keep food like completely airtight, keep it from being spoiled by the air or becoming stale. I also looked at memory foam because I know that NASA originally had stuff to do with memory foam. I think, did they originally invent it?
I don't think we invented it, but I think we worked with a company that developed it.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but so I really thought that'd be great for using holding our samples in place once we came up with our concept.
And then the first thing I was looking at, it's actually pretty similar to the last group that just went, was collapsible. Like in the picture that we put, it was a water bottle, but it could really be anything. The idea that something is expanded, but it can also be contracted to have a smaller size when being transported. And then for my idea, I was kind of looking for something that could be interchangeable to accommodate the size of the sample. Because if we're going for a rock sample, then we might need a bigger container, but if it's just a soil sample, we can fit it in a smaller area. And that could also be helpful when you're storing on the ship, because then it's taking up a little less space, it's a little less weight. And then I also had the idea of like just another cylinder with threads on it, so you could twist the lid on. It'd be a lot easier to use than an entire box. It'd also take up a lot less space. And then we came together to team brainstorm. We never really landed on a shape, but just like how we wanted to seal it. And we decided we would design our container around the seal. At first we were thinking about like a Hydro Flask lid, so it would twist on, it would have a gasket in there, or perhaps like a food lid, so like with the gasket all the way around, it has a large opening, you can put that around it. And we researched soda cans, water bottles, pressurized containers, inflatable devices for like rafting, plumbing valves, and that's eventually what we did use. And we were looking at all these to possibly implement in our design.
So our original concept was basically just like a rectangular prism with 2 cylindrical holes in it, with each one being individually sealed with a threaded lid. The reason we wanted them to be individually sealed is because like one of them might fail, the other one is still like has a possibility of being secured. But we realized that this one would be very like bulky and be very like more heavy, and we wanted it to be more light and compact.
I mean, also the fact that we wanted it to be easy to use with those gloves. Of course, you can hold the box. We'd have to put a handle on the side or something. We went with that, but just generally easier for them to be able to handle. All right. So, of course, after we decided against that choice, we started a design matrix. Went through 7 different ideas, a few different problems that we wanted to go through. Of course, we wanted to be a little complex, make it easy to use, not to take too much time, not too many materials. But in the end, we took 2 of the ideas and we took separate ideas for them. The first being the vacuum syringe, or just a syringe in general, kind of taking the idea that when of course there's the cylinder, but when the, I guess I'll call it like the plunger piece comes down, it holds whatever it could be inside of the cylinder in place. So kind of like lessening the amount of volume inside of the container, which could help with air pressure. And then we also looked at, I'll call it a juice lid connector, but it's basically just a handle that holds 2 objects together while still having the centerpiece. So on the far left, we do have a picture that I made up. It is quite literally the juice lid handles and cylinders to give an idea of exactly what it would look like, or at least with those pieces, how it would look like. Basically, it'd be the handle on the top, and then it would have 2 cylinders on the side. The cylinders would be holding the individual samples in them. The idea would kind of be that with those cylinders, they would be pressed on top of the sample, and the sample would then be entrapped inside of the cylinder, where it could then be completely sealed off in its own place. Though we would have to add some sort of like one-way lid or anything that once it's inside of the cylinder that it can be held. Oh, could you go back for a second? Sorry. We didn't really want to print it out right away because it would be a large print, but we did have some PVC pipe from some other classes at the Career Center that we were able to use. So we made a little mock-up on that far right picture using PVC pipe with the 2 cylinders and then also the center handle in the middle. Cool.
Yeah. From there, we were thinking about printing like a threaded lid for a threaded like cylinder so that it would just like screw in. But we realized that this might be more difficult to be using with like the thick of, well, how thick the gloves were. And we really wanted it to be like one motion of the rock entering and then the lid sealing on itself. So from there, we came up with 2 different ideas. We started with like a sort of trash can lid where you press a lever and the lid opens. But the issue with this one is that most trash cans open to like 90 degrees or at most 120. It doesn't open the full 180 like we need to. And then we'd still need to incorporate the one-way lid so that it's like the sample gets stuck on something so it doesn't like fall out when you close it. And then from there we looked at more like plumbing. We came up with a valve cover. And it's designed to like empty liquids but also keep them in when it's like not running. And we thought this might be something to look at for our project.
And then we started to combine our ideas and actually put them into a prototype. We started sketching them out on Inventor to make parts of the prototype. And then we started 3D printing them to actually like get a model of something preliminary so that we have something to work with and demonstrate. And then, but just starting with that, we were with a syringe and juice connector, we were able to create a decent collection device with a sealing mechanism.
All right, so this is pretty much the model that we have at this moment. With all the 3D printed pieces all connected, this is only one side of the container. It would have two separate sides, but we only printed one for the moment. Basically the way that it was work, we do have something on the next slide, but we won't go to it yet. That's when you pull down on the handle, it would slide the lid over so it would be able to be open, and then the astronaut would press it on top of the sample, it would go into the container, and then they would release the handle, completely sealing that cylinder all in one motion. And then this is just a short little animation to show how it would work. Maybe didn't explain it the best, but just see how generally it would work. The handle would be connected. The animation's not fantastic, but shows the idea. Yeah.
Okay, can you play that again? Play that animation again?
Yeah. The handle would be connected to that purple lid, but when animating, it was a bit of a struggle to do that.
Okay, and part of my question is just that, you know, the lid is taking a different path, which is straight, whereas when you use the handle, it's got a curved path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be a problem for getting that thing to close properly?
Yeah, I think it will be, unfortunately. We ran into that when actually testing a lid that it is pretty hard to make it slide because of what you just mentioned, that since they're traveling at slightly different paths, that it makes it a little hard to open.
You can find like a certain angle where it works pretty well, but it's kind of hard to actually find that in real life.
Well, okay, so what if you just make the lid so that it takes that path? And so it's kind of a curved lid and a curved body that it's going on to. Does that make any sense?
So, like, instead of it being flat on the top, that it would be, I guess, more of a curved shape. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, and what you'd be doing there is instead of cutting a flat spot on your pipe, you'd be cutting a curved spot on your pipe. And when you 3D print your door would also have a curvature on it that would match the handle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Figure out if there's another, right? Can you go the other direction so that your handle is able to take the path of your flat door?
We could make the way it is, we could make it so the handle is just straight out from the lid, but that's also a little hard because it's supposed to be like pressed against the ground. So I guess that would be harder to move.
Okay, so well, right now you've got it so that it opens towards that ball. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're thinking there. you're wanting them to hold it above the rock, open it, and then slide it down onto the rock, and then close it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that would be.
Okay. Why are you wanting them to hold it above it as opposed to set it on the ground and drop the rock into it?
When you say that, do you mean like if it was sitting on the ground, are you saying they would pick up the sample and put it in the container? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, most people will set their project or set their box on the ground and then put their rock inside the box, right? But here you're wanting to not touch the rock until you slide it into the box. Why is that?
I mean, it's really just kind of trying to find a way to make it one motion, so they wouldn't have to set down whatever the contraption is on the ground and then pick up the sample. It would be the idea that they're able to collect the sample in one motion.
Okay. And maybe we can solve maybe maybe I'm just not understanding well enough. Do you have this built so that we can see it?
Yeah, we do have.
Oh,
a
well, let's
prototype.
do that.
Yeah, if you want to pull up the other camera.
Oh, okay. You guys have some more slides. Go ahead and finish your slides, and then we can talk.
Okay. So, of course, there's always a way to make this better. There's always more prototyping to do. Of course, you brought up the fact that the lid, they follow slightly different paths, so it makes it hard to slide. That's what the first little part is. But we also thought of, when we went down like the plumbing track to see how other stuff like that, we came across a ball valve that when you twist, you kind of see in the picture, there's the black handle on the side that when you twist that, it completely closes off a certain part of a cylinder. That could be something you use. Were you saying something?
Okay, keep going.
Okay. Also, it'll be easier to see once we bring up the other camera for the handle. But we're thinking if they're holding, the astronauts are holding the prototype with the handle in the middle, that we could somehow find a way to make it the gloves easier. Just, I mean, holding in the middle, making it easier for them to hold.
Okay.
I mean,
Let's just get where we're showing it here.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull up our second camera to show the actual prototype itself. So
That sounds great. Let's see that.
explain it a little better. We do that.
Yeah. I think your call, which camera you want. You see what it does.
Yeah.
Start with,
All right.
it's kind of big for the
Is
document.
So it's a bit hard to see because we're looking at the screen up there, but you can kind of see, of course, this being the top with the slider, and then also the handle on the side.
Sure.
Then the ball, or I guess we actually have a baseball with us to show as a sample, that it would go inside the container. It would slide
Okay.
open and then be entrapped. We don't have the one-way lid at the moment. That's something we would add for our next prototype or just the next thing we do. But basically, in a way to show it, if this is the sample on, I guess, the ground to the moon, whatever you'd like to call it, that
Okay.
it would be placed on top. The one way it would hold it on the inside,
Uh-huh.
it would be resealed so that it would be completely inside of the container in one movement.
Okay. And so it just means that there's no chance of you contaminating the rock with your glove or something like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And all right, now you've got a separation between your two cylinders. How did you decide on that size of separation?
We have a sort of hockey glove that we're using to like demonstrate what we think the astronaut glove might look like, and we found that this would be this would be a good size.
Yeah, that's good.
How thick it would be.
Okay. And so part of the difference between them is because of the size of the glove. So that's your central handle for it. Okay, that makes sense. Now, I also see that there's like a blue or a greenish piece inside. What is that?
Yes, so, I'll just flip this piece over so you can see it. This is the bottom side.
Uh-huh.
The top and this would be the bottom. That's just a 3D printed piece to divide the two parts. But on the bottom, you can see the central handle goes through the side. But
Okay.
if we wanted to, something we could add, if we wanted to collect the regolith or anything, if we have a sample on top, we could also have a container on the bottom that's sealed. Probably in a different way that we could keep regular samples down here for extra space.
Oh, I see.
It's kind of just open at the moment.
Okay. So potentially you might have this bar right in the middle, and then you would be able to collect 4 samples in the same fashion. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah.
We could do that.
Okay. Huh. Okay. And part of the value now, right now, you've got the handle. Does it move?
So our current handle does not move due to the fact that when we printed it, we didn't properly measure the PVC pipe because this part is like the PVC pipe is wider than this, and so when it moves, it like gets stuck right here because
Sure.
of how the PVC pipe is. So we need to make this piece a little wider for it to properly work.
See. Okay.
But when we had this this side piece that's connected to the PVC pipe, when we had this one disconnected, we could get this and like this not quite on this, we could get it to slide.
Okay.
So it does move. And when we tried that, we noticed that like when this was rested on top of this, we didn't even actually need the one way because the ball gets like completely entrapped in this area, even if like and this thing almost like scoops it up so it keeps it from leaving.
Okay.
Stays in place.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how to work your mechanism to get it to do that. Does it really need a handle that rotates like that? What if you just had a handle so it slides out and slides back in? Does that do the same kind of?
The issue with that I can see is that it's supposed to be like kind of this right here is like flush with the ground. So if we had a handle, we'd have to have them like it would kind of keep it from actually being close to the ground, which we need it to be like entrapped and for the ball to be entrapped in the container. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and part of what I'm thinking, so like here's my can. You want a slider that's down here. Does that mean I can't have a handle that comes up here?
That could work. If we had it bent but didn't have it rotating, I think that could work.
Right. I think your difficulty is that you're trying to rotate something that has to move straight. But I think if you just reposition your handle so that it can pull straight, I think that it'll open and close the way you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. No, you guys are attacking it in a very different way that I can appreciate just because by not touching it with my glove, I think that I could be preventing some kind of contamination. So I think there's some good ideas with how you're doing that. Good job, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Flo, you have any other thoughts for him?
Yeah, it's a unique idea. The one issue is astronauts bending down. So they can't bend down real low on their spacesuits, but maybe the handle could go in a different direction and so it would be up high. So
right.
They go around.
And so, yes,
like
good
a broom.
point, Flo. Making it the crew is going to have difficulty getting down to the ground. So having some kind of getting it so that they're crouching but not having to get onto the ground is probably going to be beneficial. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can make a T on your handle, so have a pole just going up.
Yeah,
something like that. But it's a very unique idea. Thank you for working on that. I
Hey.
appreciate it. I've been giving this team a hard time, actually. I feel bad about it.
What if your central handle had part of that mechanism?
Yeah.
So you've got these two cylinders, and there's already a handle between them. What if your handle was part of that mechanism? And I'm not sure exactly what I mean, but you've already got a handle there. Could you do something with that? What if you had a slider on that central handle that would allow for opening and closing of your two containers?
I definitely think that's a really interesting idea, and I think that we could definitely figure out a way to do that. I mean, it would just be making our handle almost longer. Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Like a dog scooper, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, there may be something there. I think you guys are hitting on something that's a little bit different, and I think there's some good value there. Good job, team. Keep this up.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for coming this morning. I know it's out of your usual class. I appreciate that. Have a happy holiday, guys.
Thank you guys, you too.
Hey, Flo, let me step off for just a minute. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna try to shift that other thing a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Because I think we just have
Tri-county.
Tri-county, and then we have some time off. Is that right?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. Let me step off for a minute and see what I can do.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys. I'll actually come and visit before the holiday. Is there? But next week I'm traveling, so.
Thank you, Flo.
But watch some of the videos that for this project that's on NASA HUNCH YouTube, because they will help you. They have some suggestions on stuffing inside, and everyone is unique. Did you see the one before you with the origami?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. All right. You can go back to your normal class, but you can stay and listen. Or do you have questions?
I did have a question. I guess I'll bring it up to the camera. So of course we have the two cylinders that you can see the inside of. Would it be helpful? I think we talked to you slightly about the memory foam idea.
Yeah.
If we have less, of course the sample is going to be there about the size of a baseball. If there is like memory foam on the inside taking up more room, but the sample can still fit with the memory foam, is it helpful to have less, I guess, volume, if that makes sense, inside of that sealed container when it comes to pressure, or does that really make a difference?
Less air there's less room for air to escape, isn't it?
Yeah. So the more your sample uses up and the space in there, but we don't know the size of the rocks is the problem.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
So yeah. So I like your plumbing valve design, which is pretty cool. But the astronauts can't scoop down, so make something that can move that handle standing up, like the doggy scooper.
Yeah. If we can somehow like tension it, if we have the handle going up, maybe we can find a way to move the handle from the top where they don't have to reach down.
Yeah. And you might not need two. Then you could make one container that holds two rocks.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see. Keep working, keep thinking. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Flo.
Okay. Glenn's back in Tri-County. You can stay on if you want. Tri-County in Massachusetts is going to present next.
All right. Well, thanks, Flo.
Thank you, Flo.
Thank you.
Shut off the video, but they're gonna hang out and watch the next one. So
Awesome. All right.
Hey,
Tri-County.
Tri-County, how are you doing?
Hello. Right. So am I good to start sharing?
Oh yes, please.
Yeah. Introduce yourselves too.
I'm Kazian Fagundis.
I'm Joseph Bassignani.
And you're
I
both
work for-
juniors?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. We see
All
it.
right, so yep, as we already just said, I'm Kazian. This is Joe. And for the project challenges, we have to, keep it within that. We have to make it survive that 250 degrees Fahrenheit and negative 250 degrees. I can't see our full slides. Sorry. All right, I had to move the the whole zoom. There's about 1/6 of Earth's gravity on the moon, and the moon does have no atmosphere and no pressure, so that's going to cause a vacuum inside our container. It's going to be difficult for the astronauts to move, so we tried to make the design as simple and easy to use for them as possible. And we're trying to make it as lightweight as we can. I can't use.
All right, so the materials and shapes and seals we're going to be using. So the shape of our container is going to be a cylinder. We're thinking of using a rectangle at first, but a rectangle has more wasted space, but a cylinder can hold more and is a much stronger shape. Materials we'll be using are aluminum and steel 316. Steel 316 handles temperatures a lot better, and aluminum expands and contrasts a lot more in the hot and cold.
The aluminum we're gonna stay away from because it expands and contracts way too much, and we don't think it's gonna work.
All right, what the seal we'll be using is a metal on metal with a tapered edge, and we're going to be putting some PTFE on the metal.
For our current design, we have the taper and wedge metal to metal seal. And if you can see down here was our first idea that we made on SolidWorks. And we noticed that doesn't really have that like squeeze to it. So we went over to this other version, and we also extended the little like knobs down. So you really like drive it together. And here on this cutaway view, it'll drive down here, causing a lot of a friction seal at these corners. Then an old idea, we were thinking about adding a knife edge, but we couldn't find any way to possibly add that as a secondary seal to this. And we also had an idea of possibly adding like an external clamp that's like connected to the container in a way to like add that extra squeezing force to it.
All right, so with the astronauts, they're going to use the container. We have an idea of putting a belt clip or a strap on it so the astronauts can carry it around without holding onto it the entire time. And also on the top of the lid, there's going to be a strap where the astronauts can slide their hand into it so they can twist the container without needing to wrap their hand around it. And in the bottom corner here, you can see how we have some sketches like right here where we can have a little clip that will attach to a belt, or this little sling here that will go over their shoulders.
And for protecting the samples, we're thinking of adding some like aluminum mesh or silica foam on the inside to serve as a padding if it gets bounced around. And we're also thinking they should put the samples into a bag and then place it in the container as a secondary measure from keeping like dust and stuff like that getting in. We also had another idea of possibly making these like smaller containers for the samples to go in and then placing them into a larger main container. as a backup if the main container were to fail. And also we're thinking of adding spacers in between each of the samples to keep them separated and more contained.
All right, so we have some ideas for testing and also moving forward. We have some ideas with making different types of seals and trying to find which one works the best and which one's the easiest and also creates good seal. And we are going to inspect the seals we make and try and see if there's anything that could be a weakness or is a weakness on it. And some other ideas to test the seal to see if it works. We can submerge it in water and look for any bubbles of air escaping. And when we open it, we can see if any water got inside. Some other ways to test and see if it could work with the astronauts is using thick gloves to see if we can easily open and close it. And we are also thinking of using a CNC mill to create like a scaled down one made out of like the aluminum or the steel 316 and see if it works well in the different temperatures.
Do you guys have any other questions for us?
No questions yet. Do you guys have something to show me?
We do not, because when we were printing it, the printer messed up. It failed on one. So
Okay. So,
we have
so
it
you don't have, do you have anything out of cardboard or anything like that?
we have currently just the lid right now. The whole
Yeah, show us
base
the lid.
did not print. So wait, I gotta stop sharing.
Yeah, stop sharing.
See, I'm new to Zoom. I don't. All right, there's this. Stop sharing. All right, so
Hey.
we have right now. We kind of have this lid here with these little
Yeah, tell me about your lid.
pegs. So the taper here is supposed to like go off, like in before these pegs reach the bottom. So as
Right.
they're driving it in, they could kind of keep their hand like that and just drive them together.
Okay.
Kind of make like a friction seal there.
Okay.
And have the pegs like shaped as like a hexagon.
Uh-huh.
So as it goes down, like we have it to drive down at an angle. So
Okay.
at
So
least
the
two
threads,
surfaces.
so the threads that your pins are following they're angled down so that you're compressing the lid as you go down. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that sounds really good. Now, why did you choose to use pegs as opposed to just threads to threads, like on a jar?
Well, we chose to use these pegs because it'll also like have more friction towards the bottom, kind of having more of it'll like stay tight there too.
Sure. I'm okay with that. Now, tell me about the height that you're talking about for your container. Are you going to have the balls kind of stacked on top of each other, or what were you thinking?
So we were thinking of kind of having like each of the samples like on like one at the bottom and then one like right above it with
Sure.
something to separate them on the inside.
Okay. And part of where I'm getting to is so how now your lid is very different from like a drink bottle, right?
Yes.
But other than that, the bottle itself would be really similar, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be.
And part of what I'm suggesting is rather than 3D printing everything, can you adjust like make your lid no. Can I'm trying to think of how you can use an existing bottle to be able to use your lid because I like your lid idea. I think that's really smart. You might be able to adjust some kind of standard bottle to be like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Or you might have to 3D print your lid to fit a bottle.
Well, their lid is very unique. And that's part of their design that they're trying to aim at.
Yeah.
How about this? And I'm trying to save you on your print.
Yeah.
rather than printing this much bottle, right? Why don't you cut off the top of a bottle and then make just the mechanism for how your top fits onto it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. We kind of like cut it and just printing like where the lid would go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we can make sure that would work.
Okay, that sounds really smart. I like what you're doing. And with that idea, you could either choose cut off a bottle, or you could use a pipe. And what I'm thinking of, hold on, where did I put it? I think a 3-inch diameter pipe is similar to the size of a ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you could cut off, like this much to be part of your container, and then just be able to put the fittings that you want on the top. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we will definitely do that.
Okay. No, I think you guys are on a good path. Let me go back to those pins again. And you chose hexagonal shaped pins, right?
Yes.
And remind me why you wanted hexagonal ones?
Because it'll have like at least two flat surfaces always like driving with it,
Okay.
constantly causing friction.
Okay. I mean, so you don't want a cylinder shaped pin. You want something that has more angles to be able to have so you've got two right now. You've got two sealing surfaces as opposed to a one seal surface because of the hexagonal shape. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I don't think it would matter if you switched to an octagon at all, would it? I think you'd still have the same two flat surfaces. What do you think?
I think it depends on the angle of the hole for them to drive through.
I see what you mean. Okay. All right. I like where you're going there. Now, hold up your lid again. Okay. Now, you mentioned that the angle on the bottom that just helps make it a little bit quicker to get started. Is that right? To get
This
it
is
into
like where the main seal would be.
Oh, the main seal is there?
Because the inside of the main container is kind of like that, where this is gonna drive down onto it, and they're just gonna like twist it in.
Okay. And so are you going to have a gasket on that surface?
We were originally trying to figure out how we would add one. We aren't too sure.
Well, I mean, and you have two options, right? You could put one on the one option is to put it on the lid, and the other option is to put it on the bottle, right?
Yes.
And you're just talking about like a groove inside. Which one do you think would be better? Would it be better to have it on the lid or on the bottle?
Probably on the bottle, because the lid will be able to come completely off.
Okay. And if the lid comes off, you might get dust on it and things like that. So I think you're making the right choice there. Is there a way to keep it so that the lid doesn't land on the ground, or I don't kick it by accident or something like that?
We were kind of thinking like the strap would kind of be a little tight, so it kind of stay on the astronaut's hand.
Oh, on their hand.
So like they'll be able to slide their hand into it, and it'll be like a little tight, so they could twist easily without having to like grip the lid, and they could take it off, and it'll stay like attached like that.
Well, and so part of what I was wondering is, could my handle be something so that when I take it off, the lid is still attached to the bottle somehow, right? And that way I've got two hands to be able to put rocks in or manipulate things. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tether
Like,
the
Yeah.
lid.
if it's a
That's-
tethered lid, you might be able
Yeah.
to tether it with the handle itself.
Yeah, that's what I think they were thinking.
Is to like add something kind of connected to like maybe around here on like the top surface or this like
Yep.
angle surface here, so it would just connect to like the side of the bottle.
Yes.
Yeah, and part of it's just to keep, sometimes when you're working, you want to use both hands, not just
Yeah,
one.
that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
And then so if you make that lanyard or whatever long enough, now it also becomes the handle for how you're going to carry it back to the spacecraft. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And
I
because
love
it's
that idea.
flexible, so you take it back inside and maybe you've got 20 or 30 more of these sample boxes, right? Well, because it's flexible, it's not going to get in the way of these things all stacking together. Does that make sense?
Yes. So with the little handle on the top, what should we just like almost get rid of it or change like where it would
I,
go?
I don't know. I think I'd play with it a little bit. So, I mean, is there still value to that smaller handle? There might be. I don't know. I think it's something that you have to play with a little bit. And as you get your bottle, get things set up, don't just get baseballs, right? Because baseballs are a little bit too spherical. Get some rocks that are of similar size, and they're probably going to be angular. They're not going to be smooth at all. And just put them in there and see how they work. Does that make sense? I like your idea, guys. I think that you're onto something pretty good. Kind of playing around with how that handle is going to work, how the lid is going to attach. I think you've got some great ideas here, guys.
And test it. You know how you put your hand. I like that idea. Test it with a big glove and see if it's difficult or not, and maybe modify it if you have to. But that's an interesting aspect of your lid too. So that's really awesome.
What kind of glove do you guys have to work with?
We have this like really large rubber gloves for I don't remember exactly what they're for, but we do
Okay.
have like really thick and large rubber gloves.
They're for the.
Do you guys have any hockey gloves by any chance?
No.
Okay, might check around and see if there's somebody with a hockey glove that you could practice with. And I'm saying that just because the fingers on a spacesuit are about twice the size of your current fingers. Does that make sense? And so how much space do you need to be able to handle that? And it has some similarities to a hockey glove. Is that okay?
Yeah, we'll see if we can find some.
Now, just for reference, you guys understand gloves a little bit better than students in Houston. We don't get cold enough to be able to have many uses for gloves. So, okay. Any thoughts or comments, guys?
Questions? But you can always ask us questions. We'd love to hear from you.
Don't be afraid to send us an email or two, okay?
Yeah, and you have a wonderful teacher there, so she has her own experience.
Oh yeah, she's got a lot of knowledge. All right. Anything
okay.
else?
No, well, thank you. There's one more team working on this at Tri-County.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Are we going to switch to them next?
Yes, the
Okay,
other
very
Tri-County team.
All right. Thank you. We'll go get the other team in here.
Yep. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
So then we have a break. Glenn, then we don't have to be at Glenelg until noon your time.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No, we got to work with some good students right now, so I think it's great.
I know these kids are awesome. And it's amazing. Every idea is a different idea. Totally. Oh,
Hello.
here we are. Hello, ladies.
Hello, team. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
And this is the share
Great.
screen.
Good.
What do you guys want to tell us about today?
Our lunar sample container ideas.
Excellent.
Awesome. Introduce yourselves first, though. I know you're all juniors because
Oh, is that right?
all the students there are juniors.
Excellent.
So my name is Lydia Chen.
I'm Leah Hull. I'm Allison Bliss.
Awesome.
Excellent.
We'll share our screen.
It's coming in. We see it.
Excellent. Lunar sample container.
All right, so this is our PDR presentation. We're from Tri-County and our instructor is Miss Magus.
So, the challenges that we have to experience are the temperature ranging from negative 250 degrees Fahrenheit all the way to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, as well as the pressure going from 0 psi all the way to 15 psi from the moon back to Earth. Something else is that on the moon there's a lot of dust, so it means that the dust could possibly get in the seal, causing us not to be able to seal the box correctly. It also needs to be easy use for astronauts, for example, their gloves and their spacesuits. So we need to make it easy for them to open and close, as well as the vibrations during the atmospheric reentry. So when so we just need to make sure the box is safe and secure, whether that's just the materials inside the box or the box itself. Then we also have to look at the stress and physical impact. So the box deforming or imploding on itself during the atmospheric reentry. And also we need to make sure there's redundancy, multiple layers. So if one layer fails, that there's a second layer to make sure it's all set and secure.
And some of the materials that we're thinking about using, one of them is Teflon or PTFE. We're thinking about using it as a coating in our seals because they can withstand the extreme heat temperatures on the moon. And then also for the body of our containers, we're thinking about using stainless steel or titanium because they're high strength and they can withstand the extreme temperatures on the moon. But we're leaning more towards using titanium because it is lighter weight than steel, and then it can withstand the extreme heat without losing its structural integrity. And then a soft metal that we're thinking about using for our seals is brass because it is strong and can handle the stress. And then another material that we looked into is silicone because of its lightweight and high strength, and also most importantly withstand extreme heat, temperatures.
Some of the shapes that we've thought of are cylinders because they're good for pressure and they really have no weak points because they don't have any corners. The other ones that we've thought of are rectangles, squares, and triangles, but we don't think we're going to use those because they have the corners and it's just weak points for when it's going through extreme pressure differences. So it will kind of just deform and buckle.
So for seals, we did a lot of research and testing to see what would work and some that would not work. So some ideas that we tested and confirmed that will work are the tapered edge, paint cans, and can seals. So the tapered edge is one of our more like the idea that we're mostly going to go towards, as well as the paint can. The can seal, we did a lot of research and we found that it would work really well, but we just don't think that's what we're really looking for. Some ideas that we haven't tested or that won't work are like the pop container seal and the metal shell with the plastisol gasket and then the twist seals. So the pop container seal and the metal shell with flow of plastisol gasket both have gaskets on them, and because of the extreme temperatures, it could cause the gasket to expand and contrast, making it so that the container won't completely either won't completely close all the way or won't be able to close if whether it's too big or too small. And then the twist seals are very hard to cause like difficulties for astronauts to open and close because they might not be able to like hook the threads onto each other to close the cap. And then like wedge seals, again with this expanding and contrasting, could like make it so they don't fit with against each other and then cause either air to get in, whether they're on the spacecraft or on Earth. And then for tightening and squeezing, we found twists, latches, and springs. So again, the twists probably won't work because they're not really reliable. Whether that's like the threads or the wedges. But looking at latches and springs, we found that ratchet latches, levers, and cam type are really strong and secure latches that we think will really work well on our project. And then the springs like the bellows and compression and tension also work really well, and we think those are probably what we're going to lean towards.
The locking mechanisms that we've come up with were magnets, but we've decided not to use them because they're not strong enough. And if we were to use them, they could lose power and no longer keep the container closed or sealed. We've also done a seatbelt design. It does hold everything in place and can be tightened, but it's not very strong, and it's okay at locking. We also have done a spring box, which uses a button mechanism to lock, and it's really reliable and simple for the astronauts to open and close. We've also done latches, which are strong, they vary in size, and they can be tightened based on the type of latch that you have.
And some of the methods of opening and closing for the astronauts that we came up was levers, latches, button, key cards, and twists. We're leaning more towards using levers, latches, and buttons because they're very simple and easy for the astronauts, even with like big gloves on. Then the key card, first it needs power, and second it's like you need to code it and stuff, so it isn't as simple as just using like levers, latches, or the button. And then the twist is just more difficult for the astronauts to like twist with their big gloves on.
Some interior protection designs that we've thought of are Kevlar, multi-layer insulation, and metal cladding. The Kevlar and multi-layer insulation isn't really needed because it really only protects it from heat resistance materials and from gaining or losing heat in the container. But the metal cladding could be useful because it's sheets of metal that are on the inside to make it more durable for when it goes up and back.
Some current ceiling designs that we have, one of them is like the paint can. We added like a taper knife edge to the original like paint can design, because like the original paint can design already has like a C-shaped bellows, and then it is a metal on metal seal, which is better than using like gaskets or like other rubbery materials that wouldn't withstand the extreme temperatures. And then we're thinking about using like a tinfoil coating around our seals.
The other idea we had are like the taper seals, which it continues to tighten no matter what. It also has it's also very simple and safe and easy for the astronauts to use with their spacesuits on. And again, it's also a metal on metal, so it's more secure. And we were also thinking of using a Teflon coating or a Teflon gasket. And we also have some of our prototypes, which we can show after.
Some current squeeze and locking designs that we have are the seatbelt, which squeezes on either side and allows the belt to lock in place.
We also have latches, which we thought we could put like on multiple sides of the project to seal and lock the mechanism that we are going to create.
And we have the spring button, which closes the container tightly and creates easy use for the astronauts when they're trying to open and close the system.
And we also have compression springs, which are going to, when we do use them, are going to push against the sides to create like a squeezing lock on the container, which should completely seal it. So that's something that we're really looking at.
Another spring that we looked at is the tension spring, because after we can, if we use it, it can create like tension on the side, and then it can give a squeeze to our seal, so it wouldn't like just pop open, but like continue to squeeze the seal, making it better and tighter. Then our next steps in future testing plans is continue to prototype and work on the models and to like 3D print our mechanisms so we can have them in hand. And then after we have our final thoughts and prototype, we're thinking about machining them, our final prototype, and then also to contact more experts on topics that we want to learn more about and to have more ideas. And then we're thinking about testing our products by using the water to see after the seal what the water like get inside to see if it's actually sealed. And then we can use the structural stress analyzer to test how durable our material is. And then the pressure chamber to see if it can withstand the pressure it needs to withstand.
That's our slideshow presentation. We can show you the prototypes that we have.
That's what I would love to see.
Okay.
Stop sharing.
I am trying to currently.
There you go.
Okay, let me see some of those prototypes.
Okay, so the first prototype that we created was this like wedge seal. So you can see on the inside it has kind of like these little hooks.
Very good.
And then on the cap there's also the hooks which will latch on and then twist and lock. And we did a lot of testing with this one, and we realized that it won't work with like the expansion and contraction, and it's not very reliable. And then we also did the water test with putting it underwater, and a lot of water got inside, so we realized that was not the best idea.
Okay, keep going.
The other idea is the taper edge. So I made this design with the tapered edge right on the inside, which would be take like place as the cap, and this would be the body of it with the hole for the astronauts to be able to put the materials inside the thing, and then it just slides on in.
That's
and
good.
I'm still working on the next prototype for it, which would be expanding it to add like latches on the sides to be able to close it completely, and also make the end of this bottomed out, so a little bit thicker, so that it will completely lock and seal.
Okay. Now, have you considered putting a gasket in between there?
Yeah, we did.
And part of what I'm thinking is that on your tapered edge or on the flattened area, you could put just a little, like a little trough, and the gasket could fit right in there, and you could probably purchase O-rings or gaskets that are exactly the size that you're looking for to test with. Okay?
Okay.
Excellent job. Keep going. Tell me more.
We also have the push button idea. So I made this little container, so you just push it, and then there's 4 sets of springs in here. There's a spring here where the button actually is, and then there's 3 sets of springs right here for the lid to pop open. So it's just kind of an opening mechanism that we have. And then
That's a terrific box. I like that. How did you get the springs in there?
They're actually 3D printed, and there's a little container inside where you can put them together, and they're just kind of fitted into the box.
Okay, so when you printed it, it printed as one piece. Is that correct?
It printed as a couple of different pieces, and then we had to assemble.
Oh, you had to assemble. Can you show me any of the assembly there? That's interesting.
If I did have pliers, I could.
That's okay. All right, keep going. Tell me more. But your springs are 3D printed and then you installed them with assembly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Keep going. Tell me more.
We did have the actual buckle that we 3D printed,
Uh-huh.
and it does like actually like lock, like you can't like undo it,
Uh-huh.
but there are some kinks with it, so we've decided not to really use it.
Okay.
Because there's no point, really.
Okay, that's fine. Now, wait a minute. Let me back up. On the little box that you produced, why did you are you still exploring that, or is that something else you want to? Okay, tell me more. I mean, how do you see that one would be sealing? With how do you want that one to seal if you had rocks in there?
So we're thinking of having like multiple ideas combined, and that would just be one way of how to seal the container, and then there would be another way of how to seal the container on top of it, so
Okay.
that it would actually like not get contaminated.
Okay, very good. And so, for example, um, on your lid, you might also have some beveled edges, like on the previous example. Is that correct? Okay,
Yes.
very good. Keep going, team. You're doing great.
And this is just an actual paint can that we have that we use to like model off of. And then it has like the C-shape like channels and bellows that we were thinking about using. And then we're like
Yeah.
thinking about adding more things like the latches or like the taper edge into it to make it better and having like multiple layers of seal.
Okay. And a paint can is a great example. One difficulty with the paint can is just how long does it take to open it and how difficult is it to close it, right?
Mhm.
I like where you guys are going with this. I think you've got some smart ideas. What do you think is your next step now?
We're thinking more about like just thinking about how to combine all of these into one and then having the multiple layers and then actually having the thing that we can have in our hands and test and if it will like actually seal.
I agree. Um, t- so right now you've got one little box, but you've got a lot of other ideas. Do you have right now? I think you were saying that you wanted to stay with a cylinder idea, or did you want to go more rectangular?
No, we want to do like a cylinder idea just so that it has it can withstand the pressure of when it's going to the moon and back.
Okay, that sounds great. And obviously, our biggest deal is I've loaded the rocks in them, and as soon as I bring them back into that spacecraft, now we're going to have that pressure on them, and probably even more pressure once we get it back to Earth, right? So I think you guys are on a really good path. Um, do you, uh, how do you want to make your container? Is that something that you're going to 3D print? Are you going to take like a piece of a pipe, or do you have some other object that you're thinking about using?
We're hoping to like use our milling machine in shop to like make it out of a metal or aluminum.
Okay. And I'm okay with all that. That's a significant amount of machining time. So you might look for something that's already close, right? For example, if you wanted to do aluminum, you might be able to find an aluminum pipe or that would have most of that and then make a bottom for it, and then you're making the top for it out of different things. And that could all. So some things might be metal and other parts might be aluminum, and that would work just fine for me. Okay.
And some they put 3 balls in a tennis container, and some of them are aluminum. So that might be good. But you girls did it exactly the way we wanted the team before. You didn't 3D print the whole bottle. You just 3D printed the little bit of on the top. So thank you for thinking of that. That was important to save some film, right?
Okay. Flo just mentioned, I don't remember seeing tennis balls in aluminum cans, but I have but there are some drink bottles that are of similar size that might help you out as well. Have you looked at any of those?
So we haven't looked exactly at like metal bottles yet, but we have looked at like plastic and like just like kind of like not paint cans, but kind of like paint bottles.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them are just like not the same size, so we are still looking. But once we find one that's like the size that we're thinking of doing for like a prototype, we'll probably use one of those and then go from there.
I think that's very smart. I like where you guys have done a lot of nice research and you've done a lot of really good modeling. I'm impressed. Good job, team.
Are you having fun doing this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Awesome.
That is really good. I'm glad to see you as a team working on this project, and you're right on the right track. So keep it up.
Have you been thinking about a handle for it?
We have, and we might make like two handles like on the side of it maybe, or something like that.
And I'm okay with however many handles you want to work with. And just consider, is it better to have it on the side or the top? Once we take it inside and we set it down with all of our other samples, is there a better way to, is it better to have the handle on top or the side in terms of how we pack them as well? Does that make sense?
And some lunch boxes have a solid handle, but where they attach it makes the handle collapse so that it's not sticking up, you know. And I'm sure they do that because of packaging. And we would have the same issues of sending them.
Very good, team. Any other questions for us?
I don't think so.
All right. Keep
Awesome.
this up. I'm very impressed. I think you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank your teacher, and happy holidays to everyone there.
Happy holidays.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay. So Glenn, now it's almost, you have 15 minutes
Okay.
before noon. So, and
All right.
Glenelg will
Sounds good.
be
I'll
on
talk
at
to you
noon. Okay. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye. Cord. All right. So introduce yourselves, and then you can share your screen. And it should still be allowed to share screen. Let me just check. Yep, you can still share screen.
Okay. Andrew. Should I share my screen first?
Yeah.
Okay. Screen.
Yep, it's working. And we see it, Artemis Lunar Sample Container.
All right, there we go.
Okay, so we are Ian. I'm Andrew Case-Robetti.
I'm Sean Galati, and I'm Nate Watley.
And we're doing the Artemis Lunar Sample Container with Mr. Gershner, who's our teacher at Glenelg High School. So the problem. Future Artemis missions will bring back pristine samples from the moon's south polar region, which is a place we've never explored before for samples. And it's believed to hold water, ice, and other valuable materials that have been preserved there for billions of years. Back in 2009, NASA's L-Cross mission confirmed that about 5 to 6% of the materials ejected from the South Pole impact was water. This just shows how important the region is to our scientific studies. To fully understand the moon's geological history, we have to preserve these samples exactly as they are on the lunar surface. They tried that with Apollo, but during the ALSRC containers, they regularly lost their vacuum seal. By the time they were opened in Houston, most of them were around Earth's pressure, which limited how well we could test the materials and see how the gases could be preserved. Artemis needs a next generation sample container that can hold a tight seal through extreme temperature swings from -250 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, while resisting abrasive lunar dust and surviving major mechanical loads during launch, transit, and Earth reentry. It has to be simple enough for astronauts to operate while using pressurized gloves and lightweight to conserve the mass. Without a reliable, contamination-free contaminant system, the most fragile materials could escape or chemically react with Earth's atmosphere, and that would risk losing decades worth of scientific discoveries that Artemis has uniquely positioned to unlock.
Excellent.
Now, looking at some prior sample container solutions, we see in this slide that the Apollo Lunar Sample Return Container, or the ALSRC, was the container they used in Apollo. And it set the foundation for what we're building off of today. It offered multiple strengths as it was designed to provide airtight contamination control. It had very strong yet lightweight aluminum construction, and it protected samples from the extreme temperature swings on the lunar surface. The design was intentionally simple and fail-safe so astronauts could handle it with bulky gloves in harsh conditions. However, even with these advantages, the Apollo containers still had some limitations that affected the sample preservation. First, the lunar dust, which could be very small, like 10 to 50 microns, often collected within the seal. It prevented the lid from fully compressing and maintaining a vacuum-tight seal. The lid required very precise torque, but astronauts in pressurized suits tended to over-torque it by about 10 to 15%, which led to the gasket being deformed and not working correctly. Once that happened, the seal couldn't perform the way it was designed to. So on top of that, the ALSRC had to withstand temperature swings from negative 250 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and that expansion and contraction reduced how the materials could work together within the seal, which would allow it to leak sometimes. Altogether, these issues explain why the Apollo containers lost the vacuum seal before entering Earth's atmosphere, which ultimately brings us here today. So now for some design specifications. We started by developing a clear set of criteria based on fundamental engineering principles. We looked at form to keep the cylinder structure. We considered function to protect samples from harsh conditions. We evaluated materials to ensure they were strong, affordable, and easy to source. We also included aesthetics so the container would be clean, organized, and easy to assemble. Also, the system needs to be operable with thick gloves because the astronaut suits are very large and bulky. And finally, we needed it to be safe and cost within the budget. Once we established this criteria, we weighted each design specification based on how critical it was. The three most important ones that we saw were the seal integrity, which we rated at the highest at ×2. This is because the entire purpose of the lunar sample container is to prevent the contamination and preserve the volatiles. So if the seal fails, the science is lost. So the second, we had the thermal stability at 1.5 because the container must survive extreme temperature swings without the seal warping or the structure deforming. And third, scientific mass efficiency at 1.5, since the Apollo missions have strict mass limits, and every gram added to the container subtracts from the payload capacity. So these specifications form the core of our design and directly determine whether the container can protect the samples. So now for the decision matrix, we had multiple designs from a box, bag, cylinder, and even a fridge-like design. And we narrowed it down to the cylindrical design because it distributes the external pressure evenly, which reduces weak points and lowering risk of the deformation. It also has no sharp corners, so the thermal stress is minimized during extreme temperature swings. It is naturally stronger under vibration and impacts load experienced during launch and landing. It's also simpler to seal using gaskets because the rim is uniform and all around. It's also easier for astronauts to grip while wearing the big bulky gloves, and it maximizes the internal volume while not using much material and keeping it lightweight.
So here are our concept sketches. We ended up narrowing it down to two cylindrical designs, those being the screw top with the handle and the clamp design. The screw top with the handles, it used a threading and O-ring seal as its airtight seal. And then the clamp design uses 4 draw latches and also uses an O-ring as a seal. So here's our mock-up. At the beginning, we decided to use this as our mock-up, the screw top. But after we made the prototype and did testing on it, we found that the screw top mechanism would be too difficult with the bulky gloves, which would compromise the lunar samples with the pressurization.
All right, so then we ended up going with the clamp design, and on the left side you can see the outer portion of our container. So the whole outer portion will be made out of a stainless steel 304, that being the lid and the body. And then to connect the lid to the body, we have, of course, the clamps, but inside the lid we also have a lip where the O-ring will be placed. We looked through many O-rings, including silicone, Teflon, and Viton. We saw that Viton and silicone O-rings, they were not being sustained through colder temperatures. So we ended up going with Teflon, which sustains through those colder temperatures. So that's why we use Teflon. And then on the right picture, you can see that's the inner portion of our container. It starts off with an aluminum foil installation, which protects it from the hotter temperatures from, I think, -20 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And then after that, the next layer would be metallic foam, which surpasses both -250 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. And then inside that metallic foam, we're going to have a tight fitting, smaller canister that is going to have more foam in there with the samples inside of that foam to keep it secure and safe during launch, reentry, and other forces that upon it. And here you can just see all the materials that we will be using. Of course, the 304 stainless steel, the Teflon O-rings, the aluminum installation, the metallic foam, the smaller canister, and then aluminum foil tape that will just tape the aluminum foil installation to the first layer. And then our price came to $116.35. What we could do is we could look in shop just to see if we have any of these, like the tape or any of the metallic foam in shop, just to see if we have it and we can use it. If not, then this would probably be our final price for all of our materials.
Here's our CAD design. On the left, you'll see our container. It's an 11 by 10.8 cylinder with an 11-inch diameter. On the right, we have our drawing of the inner parts, which we'll go over on the next slide. So here's a video of the exploded view. First, the clamps release, which allows the container lid to come off. Following that is the inner canister lid. That inner canister has the metallic foam inside of it. The metallic foam is what protects the shards. And then following that, we have the aluminum foil liner, and then just more metallic foam that contains the inner canister inside of the main container body.
All right, so what are our future goals? Our future goals are, first of all, bringing this container into life. And after that, our goal is just to test, just to make sure it's viable to use in real life in a real scenario. So our first test is a cold test where we have three options. We have liquid nitrogen, we have dry ice, and a freezer. We saw a freezer can go to -10 degrees Fahrenheit, dry ice to -80 degrees Fahrenheit, and then the liquid nitrogen would surpass the -250 degrees Fahrenheit. Only problem with liquid nitrogen, it'd definitely be the hardest to test with, but it'd be the most real data that we could collect to see what it'd actually be like up there. And then our next test would be the hot test. The only thing we've came up so far was an oven, so we just have to generate more ideas for what we could do for that. And then test the air tightness. One thing would be a bottom of a tub, where it's just filled with water. So we'd put the container in the bottom of a tub. This would take it to around 3 to 5 psi, and in the up in space, the psi that it will actually be facing is around 12 to 15. So it's not as much psi as be up there, but it just gives us a slight understanding of what it'd be like. And then our last test would be the usability with gloves, or the ease of use. Our first option would be the lacrosse gloves, which are pretty similar in size to astronaut gloves. And then our second option would be nitrile gloves filled with air. This would be, I feel like, a better option because when you fill this with air, it creates pressure in the hand, which makes it harder, which makes it more realistic to an actual astronaut's glove for when you grab things, when you twist things, it's actually facing the PSI on your hand. So we thought, and as well, you can also put more bigger gloves on top of the nitrile gloves to make it the thickness of the gloves be more realistic. Here are sources.
Awesome, guys. Really nice. I always love the research that Glenelg students do, which is, I always learn from that. So, and when you were talking about your design, it reminded me of the one that was used during the Apollo mission, right? It was not the same shape, but did you research what layers they had, or
Yeah,
and
yeah, they did have similar layers to us.
yeah, and even your clamps, the hooks to clamp it down, it looked like that theirs was similar to what they were using. So can you go back? Do you have anything first to show us, actually? Do you have any prototype?
We have this first mock-up,
Okay.
the first one. I mean, here it is. I mean,
Okay, could you
this-
stop sharing so we could take a better look at that?
So this is the first mock-up. This is a screw top. This one has the O-ring in there and the screw top. But we just thought, because we tested this with lacrosse gloves, and it was hard to get an airtight closure with it, with the lacrosse gloves. So that's why we didn't end up going with that.
Especially with the screw top seal, we thought that maybe the dust and stuff would really affect it and maybe not make it able to close up in space.
Right, you're absolutely right about that. And so can you show me again on the slide what was your final decision on how you were gonna make the top?
Yep. So here's a CAD model, and then these are sketches of it.
Right. Okay. So is it kind of like a paint can?
Kind of, but I just think we have clamps on it as well.
Right.
So yeah, it'd be similar to a paint can, like
Yes.
the shape. Yeah.
And then the paint can has clamps on it,
Yeah.
And there will be a little valley for the O-ring to go in. And I'm glad you're doing that O-ring research because that led to one of our shuttle disasters.
That's the only reason I knew about that.
Yeah, because temperature is real important, right? And we knew that O-ring wouldn't stand those temperatures. We shouldn't have launched the rocket then. But lessons learned, and it helped you with knowing about the O-ring too,
Exactly.
which is important. All right, go back to the testing, because testing is real important. Your design is great. All right, so the cold test, you do not need to use liquid nitrogen, right? Because that's dangerous. And safety first. Think safety first. Even dry ice is hard to manipulate and thing. Put it in your freezer. That would be good enough. And even though we give you the plus minus 250 degree Fahrenheit, it's going to go way lower than that, I believe, on the moon. And it might even go higher. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go higher because we have water, we have ice in where we're going in the South Pole. So the cold test would be more important than the hot test, but you could definitely put it on the oven. Just be careful. 250 degrees is still hot. It will still burn your hands. Okay.
Yeah, that's what our question for you was, if there's like any alternatives for the hot test.
Yeah, no, the oven would be fine. Just be careful with it. And the cold test, the freezer will be fine. All right. Those are to -10, you said, was the degree in the freezer, and that's great. the airtightness. Yeah, thought the bottom of a tub would be fine, and see if the water gets in there, and if bubbles, right? If you see bubbles, then you know air is getting in there. It was interesting when you reported why the Apollos wasn't working. Because of the it became less airtight because of the gaskets deforming. So that was interesting. I knew it didn't work, but I didn't know why. How would you do a vacuum chamber?
Oh, that was just an option if we stumbled across somebody like another school or some place that we found that had a vacuum chamber. It'd just be a different alternative. I feel like it'd be better data to collect if it was a vacuum chamber.
So maybe University of Maryland has a vacuum chamber.
We would have to reach out to them just.
Yeah, you could reach out to them, especially since you're interested in going there.
Yeah.
And the gloves, but the gloves are definitely an issue, and the handles on your initial thing wouldn't work, right? But there's also another issue, and that is that the spacesuit from the top to the bottom is pressurized. You knew the gloves were, right? But the whole spacesuit it's going to be hard for them to manipulate anything. So as easy as possible is really important for that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, and you are considering that already. You don't have to, all the students so far, they're actually using hockey gloves. Is hockey gloves bigger than lacrosse?
I think they're pretty similar in size. Right?
About the same, yeah.
Do I know you play soccer, Andrew? What about anyone play hockey at Glenelg?
Yeah, we could definitely find some hockey gloves.
Yeah, just hockey gloves are really good, but then even with the hockey gloves, there's no pressure. You don't have to try to fill it with the air to add the pressure. Just make sure it's as easy as possible to do that. Do you have any questions?
I think it was just about the hot test. If we had any.
Yeah, no. So the CAD drawings look great, and I like the design of what you're doing. Go back through your slides. Oh, the cost. Let's go back to the cost. What are you only have $100, is that right?
Yeah. So
and you're 116. So you might be able to go to the hardware store and tell them you're working on this project, and maybe they'll give you the tape, or something for free. But it looks to me like these are the ingredients or the materials that you want NASA to use too. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So that's a very reasonable container. And
yeah.
Actually, hi, Glenn. Glenn came and joined us.
Sorry, I'm so late.
Yeah, that's okay. So every team at Glenelg gets $100 to spend, and their cost was 116. So I said maybe one of the hardware stores will give them the tape or something, or the O-rings. Tell them what you're doing for NASA, right? Will you show Glenn the?
Oh yeah, you got a prototype?
They have a prototype. They have the prototype isn't what their ending thing is. So
okay, show me your prototype, and then show me where you're going from there.
So this is our first prototype that we ended up making. It is the one on the left.
Yeah.
It's a screw top design with a silicone O-ring in there right now. But we found out that using gloves. So we tested this with lacrosse gloves, or pretty hefty in size, and we saw that it was pretty hard to get a vacuum seal with the lacrosse gloves. We're using the lacrosse gloves, so that's why we opted in for the clamp design instead. But this is the mock-up we made at the time.
Okay. And tell me about your handles. I see that you've got 2 on there now. Is that the way you plan to go?
No.
I think we would definitely take off this handle as it's not needed because you could just definitely carry it from the top one. Also, make it a more sleek design for like storing or anything like that. Yeah.
Sure, and I think that makes good sense. Do you want to stay with a rigid handle, or could you do it with a soft handle or one that collapses?
I feel like a rigid handle I feel like it'd be best for if we were gonna go for this design, I feel like a rigid handle would be best for being able to operate it. Though
Okay.
it's still pretty hard doing it with the gloves. So
No, and that makes sense. I'm okay with that. Okay.
Show Glenn, yeah, see what their final design was totally different.
Yeah.
Show
Yeah.
them, show this slide that shows the layers of the canister.
Nope. Try that again.
So
Oh, wow. That's a lot of extra layers. What's the purpose?
So the first layer is stainless steel 304. That'd be the lid and the body. That also have clamps on it connecting both of them. And then we'd have a lip in the lid that would hold the Teflon O-ring. Then inside the first layer would be aluminum foil installation that would handle the hotter temperatures. And then inside of that, we would have metallic foam, which handles both sides of the temperatures. And inside of that, that would have a tight fit of a smaller canister made of aluminum 661 that handles all temperatures from -250 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. And then inside of that, we have more metallic foam that will hold the samples securely in there.
Okay. So you said the outer one is stainless steel, you said?
304.
304. And then you have what kind of insulating foam?
Aluminum foil installation.
No, foam. Oh, metallic foam.
Oh, metallic foam.
Metallic foam. Okay. Okay. What about the lid? Do you have any kind of insulation for that lid?
We should put some insulation around maybe around the O-ring maybe because we did see the Teflon O-ring could.
Well, what I'm thinking of is you've got insulation for heat coming in from the sides, but you could still have heat coming in from the top. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Now, and then are you wanting to put a handle back on top of that as well?
Yeah, we definitely could for the use of the astronauts just to be able to hold it from somewhere.
Right. And then how have you tried those kind of the fasteners with the gloves you're talking about with your
We have not tried the clamps with the gloves yet, but
okay.
Just by
You probably have some of those kind of latches at home somewhere. You might try it with those gloves and see how it does. In general, I think that it'll work fine, but at least the commercial off the shelf ones are a little bit sharp for gloves. And so be aware of that and see if you can modify them a little bit so that they'd be a little bit less sharp. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Go in the kitchen. Your mom probably has jars that have those cane. I have several of them that have those latches. Have one latch to hold it down, the lid.
Yeah.
So,
guys, I like what you're doing there. One more thought is instead of having 4 latches, is there any way that you could have a hinge for your lid so that the lid doesn't go on the ground when they're trying to put the rocks in?
Yeah, so we could definitely take off one of the latches and just keep 3 latches there and just make one of them a hinge so it can just like turn to the side of the body.
All right. I think this is looking really good, gentlemen. Very nice ideas. I think you've got a lot to go on here. Good job.
yeah, and that hinge would be important because we don't want separate parts. So we don't want the lid to be separate from the canister thing. So Glenn, they did a lot of research on the Apollo box, And
Yeah.
that's where they got the different layers of
Yeah,
material.
I think that's smart. And you know, that's one of the things that we don't talk about as much. But I mean, you're going from negative 400 degrees all the way up to 71 degrees or more to get it back to Earth. So you can imagine if there's any ice in there, it's going to go from its solid state into its liquid state at some point, and that's going to make it difficult for us to understand exactly what the situation is on the moon. So having some insulation in there so that it transitions slower is going to be helpful. Good job, guys.
Yeah. Could you also show them your test, the slide with the test? Because I was telling them they didn't have to do a lot of that. So, okay. Cold test.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I just said use the freezer. But
well, and that's a good beginning. I mean, if you guys have access to some liquid nitrogen or dry ice, I think that that's worthwhile. What do you want to do with it? How do you want to do that kind of test?
I feel like I'm not sure exactly how liquid nitrogen would work, but I know dry ice. I feel like just putting it in the same environment or like a pretty close environment of each other and just having it sit together for a period of time just to see how it acts with each other would be a pretty good test.
Well, and so consider one of the so you just say liquid nitrogen, dry ice, and a freezer. So what are you going to do with that? I mean, if you were an astronaut, are you just going to put it set it down on the ground, let it get cold? Or are you going to set it down on the ground, let it get cold, and then you have to open it, put something in, and then close it back up? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and part of the difficulty here is that if you take it all the way down to liquid nitrogen, you most definitely want to be wearing gloves when you do something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Don't stick your tongue on it.
yeah, but you would test the temperature inside your container after being in liquid nitrogen or dry ice or the freezer for a certain amount of time. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to see how the insulation layers work.
Yeah. See how all the layers act with each other, see if anything breaches, and like just go from there.
Yeah, and even in the freezer, if that's stainless steel that you're putting in the freezer, use a glove because that will stick to your hand too. So definitely use a glove. I suggested just use the freezer. That's good enough to prove it that some insulation is there. And you'd have to decide how long you want it to stay there too.
Okay.
And I like that Glenn said, hey, negative 400 something degrees there. Because we don't really know how cold it's going to be, but it's going to be pretty cold.
It's going to be really cold in those dark areas. Now, I don't know. So I'm looking at your testing air tightness. So one of the difficulties there, of course, is your vacuum chamber. You're going to open it up on the surface of the moon where it's already a vacuum. And then what you're going to do is bring it inside where the air pressure is going to be trying to get in. And so it's a little bit more like, if you were to take your box and take it down to the bottom of a pool. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's why we put the bottom of the tub. I feel that's pretty similar to the bottom of a pool.
It is. Of course, if you get down, you're going to be going from 0 air pressure on the moon to about 14.7 psi on Earth, and that would be similar to going from, being at the top of the pool and then going all the way down 30 feet. Right. Mm-hmm. And so there's a significant amount of pressure change as you go down deeper. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. No, I think you guys have some good ideas here. Keep this up.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us? Now that we have Glenn here, I'm so much more confident.
I think they've all been answered. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good job. I really like what you're doing. I think that you've got some great ideas for the product itself, and then also how you want to test it. I think that's very smart, guys.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And will you please tell your teacher I do want to talk to him, so he should call me sometime. He's teaching now, but when he has a time to give me a call, I'd
Yeah, we
appreciate
can get him
that.
right now.
No, that's okay. Let him teach. That's
Okay.
important. Good luck, Andrew, on your soccer. Thank you
On
for
his way.
joining us. And thank you guys, and have a wonderful holiday. And you can always ask questions.
Okay.
Hi, Dr. Gold.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Ray.
How's it going?
Good.
Pretty good.
When you have some time, I have a school in Maryland that they need some help from your students, actually.
Okay.
They're working on a lunar scooter wheel, and they need somebody who could 3D print something for them. And it's a Hunch Academy, and they are doing an art project, lunar art, and they want to make a survey. And I said, your school is really good at making surveys.
Yeah. If you sent, is there a teacher? Is it an elementary school doing it?
No, it's a actual homeschool doing it, and one of the moms, doctors, she's actually a medical doctor, but she actually does the work with the kids.
Okay.
After school.
If you send an email or something, we can coordinate something. And I don't know if they've got a part design they need printed, or if they need help making the design and then printing. Because 25 kids, I bet you 25 of them could CAD most things in print. I mean, if it's really hard, then maybe 15 of them can CAD it.
Yeah.
But,
it would be easy. They live in Bowie.
Yeah, it's about 45 minutes from us.
Yeah, right near Goddard. They live right near Goddard.
It's down that way. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Is it all right if I give the mom your
Definitely.
email? Okay.
Yep.
And you can talk to her. Thank you so much.
That sounds good.
Awesome. All right.
Let's get on to the next group.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good holiday.
Thank you too.
Okay, bye-bye. And we got Fairport here. Which is the next group. Are you guys ready?
Yes, we are.
Awesome.
Yeah, so make sure you're.
How are you doing?
Okay. All right, we got it. Yeah. All right. We are from Fairport. This is Luke. I'm Sloan, and this is Leah. Sorry, I'm like, guys, introduce yourselves. We are working on the Lunar Sample Container project. And this is our container we have so far. So as you can see, it's very festive.
I see that.
Figured a cookie tin would be the best shape for our project, because instead of making it a box, we wanted it to be circular, and we'll explain why later. So far we have a big handle, which is big enough to be used with spacesuit, and we have like a little cross glove as an example, and it's good enough to get up and underneath it. We have a model of an O-ring. It's not functional, but it demonstrates where the O-ring would be placed to create a seal on the inside. And we also have metal latches that would hook on and like compress the seal and form the seal to make sure it is on tightly and the lid is compressing and making sure that there's no contamination getting in. We do not have a functional valve, but we have something that would represent a one-way valve to release pressure when going from the lunar module to the surface of the moon, in order to prevent any, like if they were screwing off the lid and the pressure released very fast, it would explode in a way. So it's important to have a valve to just to release some pressure to make sure that's not an issue for our astronauts. So anything else you guys would like to add? I think I'm good. And I think we're ready to go on to our.
Okay, now wait a minute. I just want to say that pressure relief valve is actually really smart. I had not thought of that at all. Very good job, team.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really like that pressure release. No one that I've talked to yet has that, and that would be real important.
Okay.
Yeah, we really wanted to incorporate that because we just didn't want the O-ring to get damaged while they're opening it, and just like that way we can have the best seal possible.
Yeah. So you know how you get food like a I'm thinking of a chili jar or any jar that has a lid that it has to pop to make sure that it was sealed, and it's really hard to open unless that pressure is released. And sometimes I have to use a screwdriver under the lid to leave out some of the pressure. So you have a really interesting idea there to leave out the pressure, because it is going to be with the atmosphere pressure and then taken out to the zero. We are always thinking about the zero coming into the atmosphere, but it's both ways. Awesome. Glenn.
Okay. Oh, go ahead. You guys continue with what else you wanted to present.
Yeah, do we have our presentation? Yeah, so click share. Where's that? Let me, 1 sec. We're getting our presentation pulled up right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Share. Here. And then just present right in the corner. There you go. Full screen.
Just press the purple button down there.
Yep. Okay. There we go.
All right. All right, here we go. Just press there. Yep.
Yep.
There we
All
go.
right, so we just kind of talked about this overview of the O-ring, the valve, the buckles, and the handles.
So for materials, a lot of these are very similar to the ones that they used in the original Lunar sample box, because the materials that they used for the original one, like there wasn't really anything wrong with them, so I kept a lot of them the same. We're using an aluminum alloy because it can reflect radiation, which is good for the temperature. It's also very lightweight and it meets the temperature requirements. We're using an alloy to make it more durable and strong, because although aluminum is very lightweight, it's like it is pretty strong, but using an alloy would make it even more strong. And then the same as the original Lunar sample box, we're using like a mesh aluminum as the padding, and this would just be like for absorbing impact, so that when we have it in the box too, it's like we just use styrofoam to kind of like show it, but it's like I don't know if you can see it, but this would like be like aluminum mesh. But yeah, that would be for so that the rocks don't get damaged. And then we're using PTFE for the rubber for the O-ring. That's also what they used on the original Lunar sample box. And all of these materials meet the temperature requirements.
And then we are using the PTFE in the O-ring because of its non-stick properties. So that will give us a little bonus on the contamination on the seal.
Yeah, just to make sure there's no dust interference that compromises the seal.
So, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we have next that we want to incorporate into our project that we don't have just yet. So I have a CAD video here of what we would like to incorporate. So the green represents the top lid, and the red represents the middle, and the orange represents the bottom or the base. And so the red will represent essentially a second lid that will act as a seal cover, and we'll have a locking mechanism. So when they're screwing off the green lid, the red lid won't come along with it. And I have a video here that should be playing soon. Yeah, so kind of. So go ahead.
And just to kind of demonstrate what we're picturing, because it is a little bit hard to picture, especially without the video. When they're taking off the lid on the surface of the moon, there's a very high chance that there will be dust, and especially since it's electrostatic, it will immediately go to our project and it will compromise the seal. So having a seal cover, which would be the red part, kind of forming a ring over the seal while they're putting the rocks and while they're putting the dust into the container would kind of help minimize the dust interference with the seal.
So essentially they would remove the green seal, and now they can put the rocks into the box, and the O-ring will be underneath this red seal. That way there is no contamination while they're taking their time putting the rocks into our lunar sample box. So then when they're ready to put the green lid on, they will remove that, and you can see there, that's where our O-ring will be sitting on there. So when they're ready, they'll remove that lid and they'll place this green lid on top. And this is how it will be once they are done putting the rocks in and they're ready to move it back onto a rover or back onto the space station. So that's how they will be transporting it. And that way, yeah, so here's how the three pieces work together. So you remove that one, and we will have a screw on the bottom. So the screw, this can actually screw onto the bottom, and then they can have it stay there while they're putting the rocks in. So that was a little bonus we had there. So yeah, you can see taking that off, etc. So here, I'll move back to our slide.
Okay, can you go through the steps with the top lid, the middle lid, and the bottom one?
Yeah, yep, I can do that. Here, let me see here. So this is how the box will, or this is how our projects will be while they're walking around on the surface of the moon. So when they're ready to put the rocks in, they will take the green lid off and they will screw it onto the bottom. That way it's staying there while they're moving around, putting the rocks in the sample box. So that's screwed onto the bottom. And at this point, the O-ring is not being exposed to the atmosphere of the moon. So there's no contamination occurring while they're putting the rocks in. And then so when they're ready to put the rocks in, they will unscrew this lid. And then they will unscrew this lid and put it back on. So that we were really trying to focus on minimizing the contamination time. So our contamination time is essentially how long it takes for them to unscrew the bottom lid and put it onto there, which is fairly quick. And hopefully that will be enough to make sure that there's no contamination occurring on our seal.
Ready to go next?
Would you like me to elaborate on anything else, or should we go back to the presentation?
So I'm still a little bit confused. So at the end, will the red lid fit on the bottom of the orange?
So then they would screw the red lid onto the bottom, yes.
Okay. And so what you're protecting is the O-ring, which is important to protect from the dust, right?
Yeah.
And the O-ring is actually in the green lid?
Yes, yeah, the O-ring will be sitting in the green lid, yeah.
And so it won't get contaminated until they take that green lid that was on the bottom now while they were adding the rocks and put it on the top. I got it.
And then the red will keep the surface of where it's interfacing with the orange from getting contamination.
Yeah, it'll keep both parts of the sandwich pretty clean and free from dust interference.
Right.
Very good. Okay, now question for you about the handle. That seems big. Is there any way to shrink that down at all?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Did you want to talk?
No, go ahead.
So that was our original idea for the handle, and then something that we were looking to do is possibly, instead of putting the handle on the top, we were thinking about doing almost like a steering wheel kind of, and have two almost like poles sticking out, so that way one of the other later things that we're going to talk about is a locking mechanism that would secure the box into like a rover or into like a work table. So that way, they would be able to use the two hands. So pretend this is yeah, you can see. Pretend it's secured into the work table. If there's two poles sticking out, you could have a lot of leverage because it would be locked in, and then you could just turn it and open it.
The reason we need it to be secure is because, as we're going to talk about with this slide, eventually we want our project to have a screw on. And so this way we would kind of have a 3-part seal. We would have like the O-ring, and then we would screw it shut, and then there would be the buckles to further clamp it down. So this is all an attempt to make sure the seal is as tight as possible. And we need some kind of handle, almost certainly, so the astronauts have some kind of leverage to open it. Because as you were talking about earlier with your jar, it is very hard to get open a container that is very tightly closed.
Yeah.
So we need some kind of a way to secure it down so that astronauts can take off the lid and it won't move around while they're doing that.
And so the way we wanted to do that is, remember when we were talking about the screw on the bottom for that lid? So we'll use that same screw idea to just screw it onto wherever it is, right?
Like if you've ever used a stand mixer and you put the metal bowl in the bottom part and you kind of turn it and it locks in. We were thinking about using a similar kind of mechanism just so it's solid and in place.
We were thinking about
So,
that.
comment for you.
Yeah.
Put the lid on your box, right, and push it down so that it's kind of friction fitted in.
And to line up the buckles right.
Okay, and so now rotate the handle. What happens to the bottom of the box?
So
that's
So this doesn't
What I'm suggesting is if you're going to have a handle so that you can rotate the lid, you may also need a handle on the bottom so that the bottom doesn't rotate at the same time. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, that's a good
Yeah.
suggestion.
yeah.
And what I'm thinking about my peanut butter jar, right? When I have a peanut butter jar, I can get my hands across the top, but if my hand is slipping on the bottom of the jar, it doesn't do me any good. So I have to get somebody to help me. You see what I mean?
And that's why we would have a kind of a locking mechanism like with a stand mixer where it would lock in, and so the astronauts don't have to worry about holding on to that bottom part because it is locked in place. And so all they need to worry about is handling that first handle. We were also playing with the idea earlier in the design process of having a side handle. So the astronauts could hold it from the side and maybe screw it from the top. But we think that overall a locking mechanism on the bottom where it would just be in there really tight could be helpful because it could be used on a work table, like on the lunar surface of the moon, or it could be placed on a rover, or even help it be secured in the module when it's back on the ship.
Good job. Keep thinking on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, or sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask about your latches. So right now you've got them positioned, but it's easy for you to kind of twist it and not have it exactly where you want it. Is there a way to make it so that these are positioned so that you can only fit it on a certain way?
Absolutely. There's definitely a way we could line it up exactly.
So one of the things that we want to do in our next design is to have this a screw top, and it'll be a 360-degree screw top. So every single time you screw it, it will line up perfectly with the latches. And the reason we want to do both a screw top design and the latches is it's a fail safe. So if the latches don't work, the screw is still holding the seal. And if the screw doesn't work, the latches are still holding the seal. So they work in unison as well. So the latches are pulling it down and it's screwed in. So it's forming an even better seal. And the reason we did it like that is also because then they don't have to work. They don't need one another to work, but they work in unison to do the same thing.
Okay. All right. Now, so this one's cookie tin size. What do you think your next version is? Is it still going to be that kind of dimension, or is it going to be? Are you going to change your dimensions on that?
Since the only size constraint we had was fitting 2 baseballs, there's definitely some flexibility in the size we could have. We're thinking about the same size for our next one. Would you guys say the same?
We want to keep it wider rather than vertically tall because
as you can see, like if you had the glove on and you had like a narrow box and you're going to reach your hand to put the rock in, the glove, which has the contamination from the atmosphere, is rubbing up against the seal, and it's rubbing up against where you're going to be placing the seal. So we opted for a wider design. That way, when they're placing the rocks in, they're not having to try to squeeze it through a small container.
The thing with having it be wider is that if like they can't fit the glove all the way in without touching like the seal, say they did it like slightly above and they had to drop the rocks in, that could like damage the rocks. And so it would be better if they could just like gently place it in.
Okay, good comments. Let's see. All right, and in your photo here that's on the page, it looks to me like you've got a valve, your relief valve you were talking about. How does that open? Is that something that's easy to open and close with the astronaut glove on?
We haven't gone very in depth on the valve research. We would ideally like to have it as easily operable in big space gloves as possible, but we'll definitely look into that more when we're developing our project.
And it would be a NASA grade one-way valve. That way it's going to keep what we want inside of it and not let anything in, right? And just the use of the one-way valves in NASA, I'm sure there's a way we could easily integrate that with working with the larger space gloves.
Okay, I was thinking of a valve that I had to open, but your idea of having like a spring-loaded kind of valve, I think is actually really smart. And what you're doing is you're setting it so that it's very low, meaning that as soon as you get it out of the spacecraft, it'll open up and only release the air. I think that's a very smart idea. Good job, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm a little worried about the handle being, it will take up a lot of room when we ship these containers up. If you could make it collapsible, and you can, just look at some lunch boxes. They have a little collapsible thing.
Oh, this was kind of like our original placement for the handles, but we were thinking about maybe putting them on, I think I like briefly described this earlier, we're thinking about putting them on the side of the lids, and we would do almost like a steering wheel, and it would be on the side so that way you could just twist
And those extensions could fold in, they could slide into the lid. We could figure out a bunch of different ways to minimize the area that it's going to be on.
Right, that's what you want to do. Minimize the area that your container will take up.
So you say like a steering wheel. Can you describe that? I mean, I think of a circular steering wheel. Are you thinking of something different?
Picture almost, if you've seen like Pirates of the Caribbean, they have those huge wheels in there. There's some kind of name for them. That almost
ship's wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That almost have like two spokes sticking out of them. It would almost be more like a bar and less like an actual wheel. And if we had those bars, it would provide the same amount of leverage that you need to open it. But we could also maybe have them fold up or have them fold in order to like minimize the amount of space it takes up.
And it wouldn't necessarily be like a steering wheel as if having another circle around it. We were just kind of giving that as an analogy, like the way you hold the steering wheel and the way you have leverage around it.
Yeah, and it would be kind
Kind of like handles on your bike flipping out though.
Exactly. That's a good analogy. Yes.
And then like instead of like steering, it's just opening the valve, or not opening the valve.
Yes.
Opening
Team, I think you got some really great ideas there. Excellent job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Did we finish your slides?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
All right.
All right. Did you have any questions for us?
I don't think so. You guys have any?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay. So, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I like your innovations, and I love the cookie seasonal container.
Okay.
So cool. And there's
who got
that was
cookies? Oh.
Donna did.
Okay. Do me a favor. Don't save any cookies for me because I'm already going to eat a plenty. So.
We'll tell you about.
There you go.
No, I got enough cookies. Excellent job, team. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and always send us questions. We're here to help you. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Great job. All right. So we have Olympia back.
All right.
Excellent.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see you later.
Mr. Woodbridge, are your students ready yet? Because we're a little bit early, actually.
We're just coming into class. We'll be
Okay.
ready in like 2 minutes.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So we have Olympia, and then we have, for the first time, Glenn, we have Mount St. Mary Academy, which is in New Jersey. They've been in the Culinary Challenge, and we've always wanted them to do a design and prototyping. And this time they are doing a design and prototyping project.
Okay, very good.
It's all girls.
Okay. And where is this school?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay.
How many people are in this?
All right.
Okay, we're almost done out here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you and see
Can't
you.
hear you.
I hear you fine.
That's great. All right, the big speakers aren't working though, so that's what I'm trying to get figured out.
I'll keep talking for you so that you know that
That's plugged in. That's plugged in.
that's testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3, testing
I can start off.
testing 1 2 3.
Yeah, I know what to say.
I'm going to resume record. Okay, introduce yourselves. Tell us what grade you're in and what you want to do after Olympia High School.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I could go first. Hi, my name is Arnav Bhattacharya. I am a senior this year at Olympia High School. Afterwards, I want to go to college and probably get a degree in like computer engineering. That's what I want to major in.
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm Nelapu, and I'm a senior at Olympia High School. And post high school, my plan is to pursue electrical engineering.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So my name is Olivia Jen, and I am a sophomore in Olympia High School, and I willing to in the college I'm willing to go to material science and become a material engineering after graduation.
Wow. I've had some past students that became material scientists, engineers, and they love it. So that's an interesting field. I've had electrical engineers too, and computer people. So we're excited to see what you are up to for your project today.
Okay. So, just to start off, I don't think that we're able to pull up our slideshow on the computer. So today I won't be able to show you the slideshow that we've come up with. However, I can continue to explain like our problem or solution and like how we went along with brainstorming.
That's
Sure.
fine.
Okay,
And do you
great.
prototype to show us?
Yeah. Do you want to go grab
Excellent.
the sheet?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a prototype.
That sounds great.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh,
So, do you want to talk about the requirements? I'll go grab our prototype.
okay. So for the requirement of the lunar sample blocks, we wanted to hold at least 2 baseball size boxes, and we needed to be lightweight, so it's like easier to be carried, and it's need to functions in extreme lunar conditions, so it have to like high temperature and extremely low temperature. It has to work in that kind of situation. The temperature is up to 250 degree to like down to negative 250 degrees. So that's a pretty extreme situation. And also we need to deal with the dusty environment. So like the lunar dust, and then the glass-like particle, and also we need to make it to be able to open easily with the big glove that I said.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So for our problem, well, after we read like the NASA HUNCH guide that they gave us for our presentation, it just told us about the lunar temperature and like that it has to be airtight, but there are some things that it left out, like astronauts have bulky gloves, so traditional solutions might not work as well for them. Like precision airlocks might not work as well for them because they're handling a lot more equipment. So that's something that might make it hard for them to like close sample boxes. And then another problem that we looked into was like the lunar dust. So because lunar dust is like electrically charged, I did some research into it and I found out that like the Apollo mission had like a triple knife like O-ring seal, and what happened during that mission was like the lunar dust got inside the sample box and it slowly started to like wear out the airlock. And then after that, after the airlock was worn out, once it hit like the Earth atmosphere, the oxygen and the water like corroded the samples, so they weren't as pristine as they were in lunar conditions. And after doing a little bit more research about that, we came up with our solution.
Okay, yeah. So as Vidal already covered for the box, we're kind of thinking in terms of materials and sealing a little more of the box that was used during the Apollo mission with additions to some of the material changes that we have done. So we have some material changes in mind for the outer cover of the box. That's going to prevent the lunar corrosion that we had in mind. Another innovative solution that we came up with was, if you guys can see that here.
No, get to the middle more, please. And the other way towards Olivia.
Olivia?
Yeah. Olivia.
Is that?
Nope, keep going towards
Oh,
Olivia.
it's on the other computer. There
yeah.
we go.
Okay.
Sorry, we have 2 computers up, so.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got it.
Yeah, so.
Glenn,
Okay, so what did you
Glenn,
do here?
you see it too.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
So this was a solution that we came up with to place our samples into. So this would be, as you can see here, it's just right now it's a plastic casing with a stretchy plastic material on the inside that can surround big sample sizes, and it can keep it airtight. This is just our way of prototyping. For the actual solution that we have, we were planning on different material around the outside, the inside, as well as a different way to seal it so that it would be free from lunar corrosion and also other environmental factors that we found on the moon.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Yeah.
How do you plan for the astronaut to put it in that?
Exactly. Okay, yeah. So for this, we have a different kind of sealing mechanism as well. Obviously, as you can see here, this would be a little difficult to open up with astronaut gloves. So we're also coming up with an innovative latching mechanism that would be able to close this from all sides in an airtight manner so that the sample inside can stay in the condition that it was originally taken at the moon.
Okay, so why would I want to do this instead of, say, a Ziploc bag?
So for this, I don't think a Ziploc bag would hold up in the conditions of like a lunar environment, but also instead of the plastic frame, we're thinking about doing carbon fiber as well as for the locking, because this obviously you can see like gaps in the middle because of the tension that the ball creates. So we were thinking about doing, right now we're looking into doing like a boa like mechanism, like
So it's basically like those boa mechanism is just like they have like a little twist in here, and then if we pull that out, the thing will open, and then if we just close it and then just push it in, and then it will just lock, and then we can twist it to make it more airtight.
Yeah. So, I mean, since you're twisting it and tightening like the strings or the wire inside of it, the casing will close more fully. And to insulate the casing so that we like let less air in or let less of the atmosphere in, we were thinking about using advanced EMC lunar seals, which is just like it's like a seal with cross sections and includes like multiple lips and like grooves. Yeah, and it's used like a different like lining that doesn't corrode with the lunar dust. So we thought that would be helpful. But since we can't just rely, like we've learned from the Apollo mission, we can't just rely on one like layer of airlock. So we're also putting that into the original Apollo box, just modified with the advanced EMC lunar seal again. Yeah. So
okay, so part of what I'm thinking, I'm not opposed to your idea. Ziploc bags are very difficult to work with in those gloves, and so that picture frame like thing that you've got, I think is a great idea. I assume that one side is hinged, so that you can close it around it like kind of like a clamshell. And so I think the difficulty that we need, that I want to see you develop on there is just your latching mechanism so that it's something easy to work with the gloves. The other thing I like about that is that once you've got it clamped in there and you put it into your box, it prevents a lot of the rolling and shifting back and forth. So I think that's actually a really smart idea. Good job, team.
Thank you.
And so
we also have like a little like
Like
pad that shows in how we're gonna put a box, like put this small sample box into our bigger Apollo box. Do you want to like
Yeah.
that in?
Okay.
Like sure.
Yeah, sure.
Now, one more question for you on that. Right now, you're putting that wiffle ball in there, which I think is similar size. A wiffle ball is just that they're very smooth. What happens if I have a sharp rock?
So actually we came up with a solution for that too. Right now, at least we're looking at like FEP, which is like fluorinated ethylene propylene. And that's supposed to hold up to the conditions. And it's also supposed to be strong enough to like not let jagged edges of rocks like poke through. We've also like, I've had like some of these at home and I like stuck a pen through and it didn't break. So I think that right now, from what we've seen from our testing, this is like a decent solution that holds up.
Okay.
However, I do think that we need to look into a more sturdy solution.
Yeah,
Okay.
one big on your
We see your screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you finished?
Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so
realize that we
this is like a rough sample of it. So the box will be like this, and this little side lock will hold in the frame, which is like this. It will insulate it into it and hold it separately and tightly from each other. So kind of prevent it from like rolling or like.
Yeah, so that's like the sides are just to like hold it in place. And also, since the sides are so tight, it also clamps down on the sides of the like this casing so that it's like a little bit more airtight and has more support. Yeah, and it'll just like sit on the edge of the box, and astronauts will be able to like slide it in and slide it out, and it won't move. So, yeah.
About how many of those frames do you think will fit in one of your boxes?
So that's actually
It depends on.
yeah, that's actually one of the good things about the project right now. It's we're printing 3D printing new frame mounts so that we're able to fit a lot more in. Right now, we're modeling all of this in a shoebox, which obviously has a much smaller like capacity in comparison to the box that was used during the Apollo mission. So just within the shoebox itself, we can fit by placing them side by side, we can fit about like five sample boxes inside of our big carry box. However, after we we have the exact dimensions of the box that was used during the Apollo mission, we can calculate that to like a more exact estimate of how many of these boxes we would be able to carry.
Yeah, so if the rock wasn't always in the same spot on your frame, then you could maybe squeeze more in. But if they're all in the exact same spot, you're not going to be able to get too many in because the rock size will use up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just designed for 2 rocks, though. I don't want your box getting just big. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, 2 boxes should be completely fine. One nice thing about these boxes here is you can kind of place the rocks at different places. Oh, sorry. You can place the rocks at like you can place it either on one side and then the other rock you can place on another side so that they are separated and don't make any contact, even though our mounts already prevent it from doing that. So
we're also thinking about insulating between each box so that it's like a cushion and it moves around less, and so that the rocks don't have any chance of like colliding with each other, but we're still working on the materials to make that happen.
So Glenn just said just make it for 2 frames with 2 rocks.
Yeah.
Your box.
But yeah, that's what our CAD, if you can see it on the screen, that we have 2 boxes right now. 2 boxes that it should be able to hold with these mounts right over here.
Right.
Okay. So now tell me about your box that you're going to have it in.
So right now we're looking at the Apollo sample box that was used in like during the Apollo mission, because we were looking at like different ways to like create a locking mechanism that would help with locking the box in an airtight way, but we had some trouble coming up with new ideas for that. And after looking into like the actual issue with the Apollo box, we found that it was more about like the sealing that they were using rather than like how like the box was physically locked and sealed. So that's why we're thinking, and it's like cost effective too. So we were thinking about just using the Apollo box with just like the EMC like lunar resistant lining and then putting this in there. But also that brings me to my next question for you guys. What do you guys think about the Apollo sample box and the way that it locks? Because I've done a lot of research on it, but I can't seem to figure out another solution that locks as well as that box.
Well, and I'm not opposed to us using those boxes, but we're going to have to rebuild them, right? Because those are all very old and they've all been they're all corroded, so they can't really be used to go back to the moon. And so if you want to style your box after that, that's perfectly fine. But still, I want you to be able to represent it as best as you can. Does it need to be exactly the same? No, not at all. But you can, if you want to style it like that so that it fits your frames, I think that's a great idea. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's lessons learned. So you researched it, so now you know what went wrong with it. Those are your lessons learned, which NASA loves. But when your design, does the astronaut have to take the box that you're going to put the frames in out on the moon's surface with them, or can they leave it in the habitat?
They take it with you.
You can take it with you. Okay, so I would say you should take the box with you. You can do either, but I would say take it with you because if you bring just this back to your environment, there's a higher chance of it getting corroded in the environment. So I just put it in the box while you're still in the lunar environment to preserve that and then bring it back in where there's it's like completely sealed off.
Sounds good.
Now, I'm a little bit confused with your drawing. Do you see how on the right side it seems to be lower than the side of the box, but on the left side it seems to be above the side of the box? Does that make sense?
Oh, I think it's just the way it show. It's
Do you want to just like do like a full circle and show them? Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
just
It's
like
a funny angle. It doesn't seem there's something wrong there. Anyways, but that's not important at the moment. See that there it looks fine. But when you rotate it back the other direction, it looks funky.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what that's fine. Okay. Now, also I see that if you rotate it back in, you've got blocks at different points to be able to hold it in place. You might take the top blocks and make them a little bit wider away so that it's easier for the astronaut to kind of slip it in there, and then as it gets to the bottom, does that make sense?
Yeah,
that's a good.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that's looking good. Now, so if you make it, I think the handles on the Apollo lunar boxes are on the side, not on the top. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the same kind of thing as what you want to do?
At the moment, yes.
Okay. Now, and I think that there was a T handle and it would rotate, and I think that's how it locked onto the spacecraft. Are you wanting to do something like that also or not?
Yeah, so for the clamping mechanism, we found the one on the Apollo box itself. Yeah, the T handle locking mechanism. We found it we found it really promising, and that's also what we're trying to kind of model our BOA system on these boxes after. Like having kind of like a ratcheting dial which would lock all sides of the box around. So yeah, currently we are doing more research on the clamping mechanism and trying to improve it to the best of our abilities. But yeah, that system is what we modeled our other box after, and it
right now that's what looks most promising to us.
Yeah, planning to move forward with.
So with your frames, round your corners, no sharp edges. We don't want those frames or the box even to cut the spacesuit. So just round your corners off.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
And same thing with a box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Any other thoughts, team?
Well, right now we're just looking at like materials to insulate the box with and trying to figure out like mechanisms to make this easier to lock. But also, do you have any other like suggestions or problems that astronauts encounter when they're trying to collect samples, just so that we can make it easier for them to do their job?
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a thought. So because it's difficult for them to get down onto the ground very much, they may be using the tong, like how they have those long tongs.
Yeah.
How do you think that they might? So they'll reach down to the ground with the tongs, they'll grab the rock, and then they need to put it into your device, right? Into your clamshell. Think of how that might be, how they might be operating that as either as two people or if is it something where you've got to have where you can do it with one person? Does that make sense?
Yes, that
Yes.
does.
Yeah. So currently,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. With our box's mechanism, after the sample box is opened, one astronaut should be able to slide in a sample with their other hand and close and clamp down on it, and then the sample inside would be secured, at which point they can put their tongs to the side and just lock the mechanism up with what we had planned. So, but yeah, for sure, we're gonna look into more ways to make that our locking mechanism and everything more accessible. So, it's more.
Yeah, that's something that we'll take into note.
Yeah,
because
it's more easier for one astronaut to do by themselves.
I think that
What
if
kind
we
What kind of gloves are you guys working with?
right now, okay, so when we were like playing around with this, we have a powder coating machine.
Yeah.
And we were like put our hands through like the gloves in the powder coating machine, and we like got a feel of how hard it is, though it might not be accurate, but it was pretty difficult to work with this in that environment. So
Yeah. Okay. And that's actually a good beginning, right? I mean, those are oversized gloves and they can be difficult to work with. Imagine in your spacesuit, your fingers are going to be twice the diameter that they currently are.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep and that spacesuit is going to fight you a little bit because you're fighting the air pressure inside your spacesuit whenever you move. Okay?
Mhm.
All right. And I interrupted you. Go ahead and continue.
Oh, I was gonna say if we're since like the Apollo box, we talked about how it had like the T handle to like rotate and twist and lock. If we're thinking about incorporating that into this, which we're still like looking into it, but if we do, it might be a two-man job. So I guess that's something that we'll take into consideration when we're looking at what mechanism we should use for the tiny boxes to lock. So I
Okay.
think that's a good input.
Okay. Very good. Excellent job, team. Any
you.
other questions for us?
Do you guys have?
No, that's.
I think I asked all my questions.
Excellent. Team. You're going in a different direction than I was thinking about, and I think that was very smart. Oh, and I see that you've already made a correction to one of the corners, so that's great.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's pretty cool. It's totally different than what I was thinking about, and I like it. So that's really cool. Keep working on that.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank
you, and happy holidays. And you have
too.
another team. You have another team there working on this project?
Yep, they're coming over right
Okay.
now.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great holiday.
You too.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, we're swapping them around.
Okay. Glenn, we're actually right on schedule.
Wait. We need the meeting. That's right. Yeah, you can hop on your laptop so that not everyone has to be all around one camera. Okay. Just make sure your sound is off. All right. You're gonna introduce yourselves. Oh, you're on. Okay. But we're gonna mute this. We don't get that noise.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, you guys have fun.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'll start. I'm Rylan. I am a junior this year, and this is my first year in 3D fabrication.
Awesome.
I'm also a junior. My name is Mark Wing, and we're doing the lunar sample box as well.
Awesome.
I'm Daisy. I am a senior, and this is my first year here in 3D design and fabrication.
Awesome.
Excellent.
I'm Josh. This is my second year in fabrication. I'm a junior as well.
Excellent. Okay, tell us about your project.
Do we want to pull the slideshow? Yeah, pull the
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know.
We're gonna pull up our slideshow.
Yeah, we'll have the
Sounds
slideshow
good.
after it with the slideshow open.
All right.
Make sure you're on the first slide. Wait, make sure you're on
Okay.
the first slide. Make
Oh,
sure.
there you go.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is our slideshow. Yeah. Start us off, Josh.
Yeah, so we're the sample box team B. Yeah. So for like pretty much the idea that Mr. Wilkins gave us is that we can hold the rocks using, I don't know if you can, this little like plastic frame like display thing.
Okay.
Polyethylene. And like I don't know, you can see in the pictures like you put a baseball and it kind of just holds it there. So we think that'd be good for the rocks.
So the first prototype, we based the size of our on-shape model, which we used to like model it before we built the physical thing. We like sized it approximately to hold like 2 baseball-sized rocks, and like that wouldn't like hit the frame or like each other. And so then after we got that design, we built like the physical copy. But like obviously we're gonna use like different materials for our final draft.
Okay.
So basically, what we noticed with the original box is that they had all these complex kind of gaskets used. So one of the problems that they had originally was the fact that there was a lot of human error apparently, and also there was like fabric that seemed to get caught in the gaskets, and it led to seals not sealing properly, and that contaminated the samples. So what we went for was should we go to the next one?
Yeah.
So what we did differently is we decided to go with adhesive seals. We found this butyl rubber sealant, what is very sticky, and we would have a line of it around the top of our box, and we would have a little pull tab. So because they had big gloves, all you need is for the pull tab, it's just like 2 fingers, and you can just pull it off, and it will have adhesive used on the lid.
So for the materials, we took like inspiration from like other NASA projects. Like we use like multiple layers. So like the outside would be like the heat repellent. It would have like we researched some stuff like maybe Mylar, which would like act as a reflective film to like reflect the heat away. And like the main skeleton material we're thinking of using is like the aluminum alloy.
And then more for the inside, oh wait, no.
Okay, your picture's confusing me. It's funny, but I'm not quite sure I understand.
Well, yeah, the burger analogy, it's like the bun, that's kind of the reflective film.
Okay.
You got the lettuce and like the cheese and the stuff. That's kind of like the aluminum and the polyester fiber. And then
Okay. So the Dacron is doing what?
It's just more layers to help keep the rocks like safe and airtight.
Okay. But is it more of a heat insulator, or is it more of a cushion absorber, a shock absorber, or what are you thinking?
I think we're using it to like maintain more temperature as well as like get more structure to the box.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then for the inside, we kind of we saw that the old box had like a little fabric to like I guess keep the rock safe. So like the bun, like the patty, I guess that's like the fabric, thinking like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's go. What do I really talk about the lid that we haven't talked about? We have a little indent on the lid where the adhesive will be placed, and it'll get placed onto the box and seal it.
Okay. Well, let me ask. So, here I see your lid. Is this a lid that comes all the way off, or are you going to have a hinge for it?
We're thinking of more, it's like 2 separate pieces, and the adhesive kind of it acts as that seal. So it's just a one-time thing, because we don't have to worry about reopening it.
Okay, and I'm okay with that. But consider if I take this box outside, I set it down on the ground, I open the box, and that means I have to set that lid down probably, and then I put in the rocks that I want to. Now, when do I remove an adhesive like a piece of tape or something like that on there and then close the lid, or what is your plan for how you operate this?
So basically, after you put your rocks inside the frame, there would be a little pull tab, as you said, with like a waxy paper that's over the adhesive. So you'll be able to put the lid on top of the box without the adhesive actually holding the two things together. Because you have that little pull tab as like you pull it off, and then once you stick it down, it should activate. And we were told,
no, go ahead, finish.
Oh, we were told that our main goal wasn't the fact to make sure it can reopen a whole bunch. It was just like they really wanted it to hold its airtight capabilities. So like after you put the rocks in there, we assumed that its next goal is just to keep airtight till it is brought back to Earth.
You're correct, and you're saying it exactly right. So the thing that I'm suggesting is it may be a good idea to have a hinge on there just so that it's one less part. If everything's together, then you don't have to worry about somebody kicking it by accident or something like that. Now, what about a lid? Or excuse me, what about a handle? Where do you want to put a handle for your box?
I was on the lid. Well, I think we're gonna have like one on the lid and then maybe like two on the side, just because variation, because there's a lot of ways you could carry a box. So
Sure. And I'm okay with wherever you want to put it, but consider, if there are different options for a handle, right? You can have a solid handle, you can have a handle that folds down, or you can have cloth handles that, that they just kind of get out of the way. And where you place them helps determine how you're going to stack them or how much space they take up when you're going back to Earth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. I don't have to, you guys can decide how you want to do your handles, but kind of play around with how it might work best for your box. Okay.
And maybe your handle could be used to tether that lid to your bottom of the box, which would be good.
That's an interesting idea. Good thinking, Flo.
Thanks.
Okay. Excellent, guys. Now, oh, no, go ahead. Show me what's next.
Okay, so these were our frames. So originally we got frames that we used to show, but the thing is we were thinking about making our own because these were a little bit missized and we wanted to fit the perfect size on the interior. So this one's actually a little bit big, this frame.
Okay.
So we made our own frames. And so these frames that you're seeing in our on shape is actually the right dimensions. These ones are a little bit big.
Okay.
So.
And what did you use for your stretchy material in between?
That's polyethylene.
Okay. And so is that something where you guys just found some more and bought it, or how did you assemble these things?
So again, we got some with the same idea, and we were trying to find an actual source of polyethylene, like just like fabric, like roll of it, so we could make our own. But we tried to get one version, and it sadly didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. It wasn't the same kind of material. But we know it's polyethylene. We just have to find a way to obtain it.
Sure. And it's probably not that difficult, but actually can you hold that up to the camera so I can see it better?
This one over here?
I don't care which one, I'll pin it. Okay, very good. I like that. Now, and what kind of a latching mechanism do you have on there?
How do you describe that? Just it's a little it's It's just like a metal, or not metal, sorry, plastic little tiny tab that goes into the other one. And yeah, I can try to show it.
Yeah.
It's just a little tiny tab that it goes into the actual
Sure.
other
Okay.
side.
And then how does it lock?
It with pressure, it's got a little tiny ridge that goes up and then it hooks on the inside.
Okay.
But
And so it might be good to switch that out to more of a like maybe
a latch pin.
a latch mechanism that slides over and locks it or something like that.
Yeah.
Would there be value to having multiple? Like if you've got a hinge there, could I have three, one on each side, or would that be would there be a problem with that?
You mean 3 latches?
Yeah, so one on one side and then one on either other side. Would there be value to that?
Maybe that'd be. I think maybe that'd be difficult to like open the thing with 3, but
I mean, just for conveniency, that might be hard, but also it has to slide in. Like in our original box design, there's going to be indents in the wall for it to slide in. And if there's latches there, it might interfere. Like,
sure, I could see that.
Yeah, it will have interfere with it sliding into place.
Okay. And the reason I was asking is because when I was looking at the other teams, they put like a tennis ball in there, but you could see that each side was bowing a little bit, even though it had clamped down. And so I didn't know if it might be valuable to have some extra locks just to so that it's a little bit more likely to seal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, so the thing about the frame is it's not the airtight feature. The point of the frame is to keep the rock or whatever sample to not be damaged and not hit the walls. It's just supposed to keep it in place. And that's why when you slide it into the slots we made on either side of the wall, it holds the outer side of the frame so it won't be able to open.
Gotcha.
So on our
So
model,
once you slide it in, there's a pinching capability there. Is that right?
yeah, it's not going to open because it's now connected with the wall. It's in an indent to its size, so it's holding these shut. So they won't open.
Okay. And now, can you show me the inside of your box? Because you had a picture of it before.
Do I think on shape slide? Look at this. Okay. We had a picture right here. Do we have the on shape?
Okay. Now, are those wood pieces in there that you've done?
Oh, are you talking about the model that we made in real life?
Yeah, on the right hand side there.
Oh, that's cardboard.
Yeah, those two pieces are cardboard also, not just the outer
even the
box.
white one? Or...
Yeah, the lighter color you're saying is also cardboard.
No, these are just little clips that came when we
No,
got.
no. I'm looking on your slide.
Oh,
the right hand picture there.
This one?
Are those wood in there or no? The right hand picture. There you go. That's it. That one. So are those wood or is that plastic or is that cardboard?
Like the brown box itself.
The brown box is a cardboard box. What are the pieces inside?
Oh, that's like plastic.
Okay, so that's a 3D printed plastic or something, or is that the store purchased ones?
Those were store purchased.
Okay. And I see that you have some clips that hold it in at the top. Are you going to have clips that hold it in at the bottom?
So our actual design, just because we couldn't do it with cardboard since it's so thin, our actual design is going to have indents in the wall. So it's going to slide in. There's not going to be clips because the clips, they could break off and that could create a problem. So we just made straight up divots inside of our 3D models, as you see on the bottom left. You can see in the slide that we have one with the frames inside and then one with the divots more visible without the frames.
Okay.
We were not going to do clips. That was just to get our point across and kind of test out how it looked.
Yeah, so you can think of the cardboard box, like the clips are just the wall. If you can yeah.
Okay. No, I'm with you. Okay. Good job, guys. Do you have any other questions for us?
No, I don't think no.
Okay, so just comments for you. I think I like your idea. I think that by using these frames, it's going to keep the rocks from being toppling back and forth with each other. And I think I like your box as well. Um, how much space do you think you need between the two rocks?
Maybe an inch or so, just like in case like, or what do you think?
And what I'm looking for is a way to try to shrink down some of your box as much as possible, but still retain some of the capability that your box is allowing for.
I think when we were thinking of it, we were like the space in between. We kind of envisioned like if you think of just this little slab as like a cube, and then putting two of that kind of distance in between.
Okay. Well, and try see if there's ways that you can shrink down your box a little bit so that you get more so that we're not just taking up for empty space. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I like where you're going with this, guys. I think it looks really good. Um uh yeah, I think there's just some great ideas for us to work with. So, I mean, right now you're working on a lid. You've got the oh, wait a minute. Let me back up. The adhesive material, is there anything after the adhesive to hold the lid on?
So about that, we were planning to make a backup system, like a pin that you could put in to hold the lid down or just extra sealing power. But we never actually put that on our model, sadly, as we got the idea after we talked to some people and like presented it as like a presenting this before we talked to you guys. So we never actually implemented it, but we were gonna have like a latch pin go through the lid and through the box. And that was gonna be our like backup if the original adhesive for some reason didn't hold.
I think that's a good idea. Having a secondary locking mechanism besides the adhesive makes good sense. Good job, team. Keep this up.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to present this problem. And make sure you round off all your corners. So your frames, your box, we don't want to puncture the spacesuits.
Right. Okay.
Great job, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and have a wonderful holiday season in Olympia, Washington.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank your teacher for us.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks. I'm going to put the recordings online so you can see it again.
Great. I'll share the link with everyone.
Okay, awesome.
Great job, team. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Okay.